Hello, 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 and welcome to Project Possible with me, Rich Lee. Today, I'm joined by world champion, ice swimming world champion, open water swimmer, John Myatt. John grew up and lives in Gloucester, like me, and I love to do that. I love to shine a light on incredible people from where we're from, because sometimes I think, we can be quite one-eyed and maybe a little bit cynical about the places that we're from, and I like to show that there are incredible people from everywhere, but just really say, listen, there are role models everywhere you look, if you look for them. There are people doing amazing things. And for John, that was the case. He was in his late 30s, sat watching TV and thought, there has to be more than this. His self-esteem was low, his upbringing was not great. You'll hear that in the first 5 minutes or so, on which the audio isn't wonderful. It was camera audio. For some reason, there's a technical issue at the first few minutes. It sorts itself out quite quickly, so please bear with it. It's not unlistenable. But, he talks about his upbringing, talks about, that feeling of being nothing, of achieving nothing. And didn't he go on to achieve something? Jesus. In the last episode, right at the end, I alluded to the fact that we're going to speak to John, and I said that he's the UK's answer to Wim Hof, or, as John jokingly, dare I say, referred to him in the episode as Wimp Hof. Make of that what you will. I think they're just competitive. All that remains to be said is, without further ado, I bring to you my conversation with John Myatt. Take me back to, what's your first memory of swimming?
My first memory of swimming was at Gloucester Leisure Centre, which is GL1 now. And my dad used to take me swimming. Probably one of the only good things he did for me, really. Just on the Sunday, I always remember splashing around the Sunday, kicking around my back. That's this sticks in my mind. So for family holidays, we weren't a particularly rich family, but my holidays were at a place called Rodney Sands on the River Severn. And you would literally drive up in a car, you put something in the farmer's gate, you drive over to the edge of the river. The strange thing about this place was you've got the River Severn that comes in and out, floods in and out, and then to get to the actual water, you used to go down the bank, and it was almost like stepping in cow shit, sorry. And it's all brown, and so you had to take a bucket with you. So that when you came back, you got a bucket of water so you could clean all this mud off your feet. So, but there was sinking sand there as well. So along the river, there was stretches of sinking sand, so you'd almost go knee deep sometimes. And back in the day, parents, a bit lapsed, they didn't really pay attention to tides and stuff like that. And I remember being on the river bank, and it's a big bank that goes out to the river. Big stretch of flat sand, and I could hear this noise, and I went, whoa, tide's coming in, and it was like you could hear it rushing towards you. So I had to get my brothers, and we ran across the sand. My mum and dad were still sunbathing, and we just about made it up the bank as it splashed. So yeah.
How old were you then?
Probably about 10. Could have been carnage, mate.
That could have been awful, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's some of my early memories of swimming, really. So. Yeah.
Actually, what kind of kid were you? Were you academic? Were you sporty? Were you shy? Were you?
I was really shy. Family life was difficult. My dad, I would class him as a schizophrenic. He definitely had a split personality. He would control the whole environment. He would I'll go into this. So, if my dad came home and there wasn't meat on this plate, he would smash the entire kitchen up. He would smash plates up, spit my mum's face, and do all sorts of things in front of us. Horrible. And because he had such this, he would go hot and cold. There was one giveaway sign where he would just bite his tongue. It'd be pure aggression. And you're in for a beating then, even if you did nothing wrong, you were going to get beaten. And he was such a weirdo. He was into drugs and stuff like that. And I remember watching TV with him, and he'd always come out at the end of a film or something, and he would say, "What's the moral of the story?" And sometimes I didn't know what to say, or I'd say the wrong thing, and then I get a beating for not getting the moral right. and I just think this guy's twisting his head. It's like, you know. So I did everything to avoid being around the family. I would go off to my room, and I would spend, as a kid, I would spend a lot of time out on my bike and just exploring really, and being away from home, because I didn't want to be trapped in that environment with all that going on.
How old were you?
7.
Yeah.
It made me cowl a lot. It definitely affected me a lot, even growing up, and I didn't realise until I was a lot older how much it had affected me.
At the time, and I mean, I won't get into it necessarily, but it's not especially dissimilar, and you don't necessarily initially know that it's different to what other people might experience.
Yeah.
And then the second you realise that it's different, you realise you can't really talk about it, or you probably shouldn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the same for you.
I didn't. Growing up, I didn't know any difference. So
Yeah.
I used to, on the way to school, I used to call for May West, Stephen West, Heather West. So Fred and Rosemary West. So I would call, go in the house every morning, and Rose was there, scanty clad, and she would like be mouth belling off, and it would just feel like home. So these are the only sort of friends I had to sort of like judge my own life by. So growing up, I always thought, these were serial killers. I'm living with a guy with a split personality, and almost a psychopath. So you just thought it was normal, and it wasn't until I got a lot older and I started to go around other people's houses, and you'd have a girlfriend and you go and see their mum and dad, and everything was completely different.
It hits you, doesn't it?
Is this normal?
It does hit you.
But I mean that it just made me, I suppose, made me more outgoing, because I would just go and spend time with my cousins or friends, and we just go out, go out for rides and just have adventures. And
I mean, Christ, so did you meet Fred and Rose?
Yeah, I met Fred and Rose. Weird situation, because went back to the house, and Fred and Rose said to me, when you're a bit older, come back, we've got a place for you to live upstairs. Absolutely crazy, mate. So it's like, I remember going back, because I did junior school, then May and Heather went off to somewhere at school in Hucklecote.
Right.
And I went back to see May when she was about 16, and everything had changed. I remember being there like 2 different gates to get in, and a door. So she came to see me and said, come on in. But she had to get the keys to unlock one door at a time to get in.
Right.
And I went in, and then...
Why did they have all of that?
No idea. Obviously, probably because of the things they were up to.
Yeah.
And then May took me up to her bedroom, and she showed me, for some reason she opened up and told me about stuff, told me about her uncle, that Dad gave permission for her uncle to sort of have sex with her. Told me that, and showed me the bedroom with all the video set up and everything else. She really opened up to me. But I didn't realise, all the things that they were going through as kids. So when May brought a book out, I started to listen to the book online, and some of the stuff is so traumatic, and I just thought, I can't listen to any more of this. It's just horrible to start to hear the things that she'd been through.
People
whilst
you
I've
knew.
been there.
So how old were you? So the same age as...
Yeah, same age. So May was...
Can you remember the ages of the kids?
So Stephen was the year below me,
Yeah.
so he would be about 52 now.
Yeah.
May's the same age, and Heather was a year above me.
Right.
And then there was, I remember Tara. I remember Tara because she was a different colour, and we always wondered why, the other one turned a different colour. And May told me that a dad couldn't have kids, and a dad had given May permission to sleep with the black man to have another child. So,
Right.
that's a bit very strange. So that was my childhood. So I used to come through the alleyway down to Cromwell Street, call in, go in and play, or and sometimes in the evening go and play in the basement where the bodies were. And
How old were you at this time?
From junior school age. So from the age of sort of 6.
Yeah.
Right up to about 11.
Jesus. And
So-
I mean, direct question, but nothing ever happened to you?
No,
Did you ever feel unsafe?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel unsafe. There was one thing that happened. I knew that things were happening because May came up to me the one time. She said, "Quick." They had a kitchen with like round cupboards around, and there was a dagger on top. She got this dagger down that her dad had been threatening her with, and she said, "Can you take that away?" So I took the dagger away, and I gave it to my nan. She had it for years, and when it came out about the it all came out that the head would have been murdered. I went back to my nan, and my uncle had found out and thrown it in a river. Yeah, so I don't know if that would have been evidence or not, but obviously, to threaten your kids with a knife.
Yeah,
and they've had lots of bad things done to them. I just. Sorry, mate. I just
Jesus.
I just go off on tangents.
I mean, that's a bloody interesting tangent, especially around here. It's meant, well, I mean, for anything and everybody is, I like to have first-hand knowledge of being inside that house and what they deemed normality.
Yeah, the strange thing was, I'd be there every day, but I probably only seen Fred about 3 times in the whole of my childhood.
Right.
So even though you're there every day, you didn't really get to see him a lot. He was never really around.
But Rose was?
Yeah. So.
And what was she like as a character?
I was just trying to think back. It's like she was just nuts.
Yeah.
So she would scream at the top of her voice, and she wouldn't be worried that I was there or anybody else. And it was just like, it would just resonate through just a vile sort of like sound voice and just nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see her hurting the children in any way, or?
No, just a bit like my dad. Just meant shouting a lot, anger, aggression. Which when you're kids, it makes you coward, doesn't it? It's like you go inside yourself. It's like when they've got this power over you, where they they can physically hurt you.
Did you notice that in the kids? Did you notice that they would cower or like?
I can't remember back now. Everything's really vague.
I know it's like, a long time ago, isn't it?
It's really vague, yeah. So it's some things stick in your mind, and some things the everyday part of life you just forget about. It's just like you get those little things that stick in your mind. So
bloody hell, mate. So
no, so
how? Yeah, and that's part of why I do this. And I always said from Series 1, and I always will, I want to shine a light on people from here that are doing good things. Because and I have done every single series. I've made sure that I find people here, and there are some incredible people here doing amazing things. You being one of them, because when you're from a city like this and something like that shadow looms so large over this city.
Yeah.
To the point where, what are we known for? Fred and Rose West, cheese rolling.
Right? Yeah, cheese rolling.
And rugby mainly, right?
They're the old cheese roll, yeah.
You did the old cheese roll, have you?
I went downhill, didn't really come anywhere. I remember like hitting the bump, flying up. You see the videos where people fly in the air. I was one of those.
I was one of you.
And came down on my shoulder, hurt that. And then, but I did the uphill race. I trained for it. I was on. I remember they had one of these verti climbers with your legs and arms in the leisure centre. I was training hard on that, and I did the race. And some guy from Gloucester Athletics pipped me, but he had these spikes on, and I just had my trainers on.
That's not fair.
So I thought that's not fair. But I remember it's like going uphill so hard, and I went flat out, and you hit about halfway, then you lose everything. All your muscles go, and you're just clutching at the grass and just trying to get yourself up and as fast as you can. And then
so you came second in that.
Come second, yeah.
Wow, man.
I think I got £2 prize. I think it was £2. So it was like,
princely.
I think the guy got £3 for first place. Yeah, so going up hill was far less precarious than going down. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. As you say, the bouncing. I've never done it, and I think I'm way past the age where I even should think about it.
Yeah.
But so as I say, there's so many amazing people doing incredible things. You have achieved an awful lot in ice swimming, particularly.
Yeah.
We touched on swimming at the beginning before we got into the kind of kid you were. But that injury, the fact that you've had that kind of upbringing where it's atypical, you were treated in a way that probably wasn't fair for a child both at school and at home.
Yeah.
Self-esteem we need self-esteem, and that's something that possibly might have been lacking at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because, who's building you up? When you're scared to be at home. Now, you touched on, just before we started speaking, the scholarship. Can you take me back to that moment?
Yeah, sure. So I remember being at school swimming lessons at Gloucester Leisure Centre, and the on one occasion we had to do a race across the width of the barn pool. I think it's like 20. Used to be about 20 odd meters across the width, and it was just a thrashing, splashing dash across the pool. You're getting out spitting water, and never knew where I came. And then at the end of the session, Helen Stevens, who was the junior coach for Gloucester City, came up to me and asked me if I wanted to do trials. And I asked her what it entailed. She said just coming along and going through some strokes. And I think I didn't really know any strokes, really, to be honest, other than being on my back. And that splash across the pool wasn't what I deemed a particular stroke. It was just trying to get across. Anyway, I went and did the trials, and then I came away thinking, I didn't do very well. And then Helen came up to me afterwards and said, "You've passed, and we would like you to do trials for Gloucester. We'd like you to join Gloucester City Swimming Club." And then she gave me some forms to take to my parents, and obviously the forms were, to sign up and join with a membership, and there were costs involved. And I had this sinking feeling even before I got home, on the way home, thinking I'm going to hand these forms over, but my parents aren't going to pay for me. And I was right. So as soon as I got home, no, can't afford it. And then when I next met Helen, I said my parents can't afford it. I said, really sorry, I'm only 7. And I'm apologising, and I'm trying to create this pathway. I'm just saying, look, I'd really love to do this. But parents can't afford it, and I thought that was that. So anyway, 2 weeks later at school swimming lessons, she came up to me and said she had a word with the committee, and they'd awarded me a scholarship. And I said, "What's a scholarship?" Because being a kid, you don't know these big words. And she said, you can swim for free as long as you turn up every week and you give 100%. You can continue to swim for the club for as long as you want. So I had this sort of lifeline, really. I got into club swimming to start with. I can't remember how many sessions it was a week, but by the age of 11, I was doing 11 sessions a week. I was training 2 hours in the morning before school, then an hour and a half every night, then going back and doing my homework, and then setting my alarm for 5:30, constant cycle.
So you were the one motivating yourself to get up and go out? I was
the one motivating myself, yeah, absolutely. I love swimming.
And you lived really close to it, didn't you?
I lived around the corner. So, I was lucky I lived around the corner. I would meet Henry Maniki as he was opening the leisure centre doors up, be the first one there.
What was Henry's role?
Henry was a head coach, a swimming coach. Henry was an interesting guy. He was this German guy, older guy, big bushy eyebrows, big deep voice, and this big presence. And Henry apparently, when he was 18, flew over in the Luftwaffe.
Right.
And got shot down and become a prisoner of war.
Wow.
And then I think he was working on some farm somewhere, and then he got granted a stay. So I think he got into football, then got into became a swimming coach, and then he dedicated all his life to swimming, and he was quite successful. He had a few of my teammates went to the Olympics. So so I think that for someone coming over from that early age and diversifying and going into swimming and teaching, coaching, I think he did really well. But he wielded us with an iron rod. You would do exactly what you were told to do. There's no messing from Henry. You get in and do exactly what he told you to do. So I remember some mornings we'd swim. The leisure centre have a power, there was a power cut. Nowadays, if there's a power cut, it'd be closed down. You wouldn't be able to go in. No, that wasn't the rule. That wasn't the rule then. Scrub that rule out. Henry came with candles. Put candles at the end of each lane, and we were going up to candlelight. Obviously the water was a lot cooler, not heated, because the pumps weren't working. So there was never any excuse not to go swimming. So I remember being so dedicated that I wouldn't miss one session. I actually missed one session in 10 years. and I was so mortified. I missed this session. I was beside myself, and I found out where Henry lived to go and apologise. I remember being there crying at his doorstep, and he went like, he went, ho, 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 come in, John. And it's like got his wife to make me a cup of tea. We had a chat, and we talked about like, why I wasn't at England's school level, why my times weren't progressing, because he said to me back then, he said, John, you're the biggest grafter I've ever had in the club. And, I couldn't achieve the times that some of the other people were doing. I think sometimes you just get stuck at that level. And
you mean like a physiological capability?
Yeah, you don't progress for one. Some of the kids were a lot taller than me. They're growing a lot taller, so obviously bigger handspans. And, I think to be an elite swimmer, you need to be at a certain stature.
Right.
So I wasn't that sort of height, but it didn't stop me from giving everything. And, I was good at county level, Western County level, 100-metre backstroke champion. But when it comes to national level, I just wasn't at that sort of level.
Okay.
So there was a bit of regret there, really.
I talk to quite a lot of people on this, and both for me and seemingly for you. Then sport is that thing that gives you that possible kind of chink of light that you guide yourself towards. This direction is up and out. For me, rugby was always, I don't have to stay living like I'm living, because rugby will give me, not only in the immediate, but imagine if I can make it. Imagine if I could, play at a decent level. Then that gets me up and out of where I'm at. And you hear about it in America, people in less than ideal upbringing circumstances. It's basketball, it's NFL, it's these things. It's boxing. People point towards sport, and I think the things that it distills in you and teaches you when you don't necessarily have it at home. Like for me, sports taught me everything. Discipline, working together as a team. How to motivate yourself when you don't want to.
Yeah.
How to succeed, how to win graciously, lose humbly. All of those things, right? Diet, nutrition, even friendships. How to build and maintain friendships. How to pick people up when they need it, and how to allow yourself to be picked up when you need it. Okay. Sport's wonderful for that, right? So you've just entered into this world. That scholarship is enormous. I mean, is Helen still with us? Have you?
I'm not sure. I did try contacting her recently because, I did a talk at GL1 because they did a mural of me and a few others. Yeah. So, but I did reach out to her. I did have her number, but she never got back. So I wanted to be there.
She won't realise what she did for you necessarily. And it's only through conversations like this, maybe, that kind of gets drawn out, and that she'll realise.
Helen was more than a coach to me. She, a lot like some of the other parents, they were like family. Helen and I got on with her son Toby, and on weekends, I would go and spend my weekend at Helen's at Course Lawn, and I'd be out in the fields with the horses and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was a big escape from my family life, I feel lucky, in some ways that I was allowed to escape and I saw the world in a different way. I say my parents, I swam for 10 years and went to lots of galas, and they could have watched, taken the opportunity to go round the corner to watch me swim. They never watched me swim once in 10 years, but I think about it now, but I didn't think about it then. I didn't think, my parents aren't here to watch me. I wasn't actually bothered.
Right.
But I could see that other parents were driving 20 miles twice a day to drop their kids off and were at all the galas. And I noticed that certain parents took an interest in me and were there to sort of mentor me, look after me. And even Andy Rolly, who was about 2 years above me, he went to the Olympics, and he sort of took me under his wing as well. He knew that I didn't have a great upbringing. He knew I didn't have a push bike, and this still sits with me now. He went out of his way. He had an old bike, and he stripped it down, sprayed it all, put it all back together, and he gifted me a bike. And he's only a couple of years older than me, and I've told him about this, and he can't remember it. But those things that people do for you,
I can get to through what you've said. Your relationship with your dad, you said this. It's obviously not a great one. What was your relationship like with your mum as you were growing up?
She was there, but she was caring as well. She was always fearful, and
So, mate, swimming was a refuge.
Yeah, no, swimming was a refuge. Like I said, yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything. I feel like very privileged, very lucky to have had that childhood, to have had that discipline instilled in me, and to be given everything. Like I gave my all.
And that's what you gave in return, right? You were given something, and some people would just go, yeah, so what? What is it? But you were like, you gave me this. Like, that's a belief in you.
Yeah.
At the time when, as I said, when you grow up with self-esteem, it's like, that person believes in me. And not only that, but they're evidencing that by giving me this scholarship. So, effectively this ability to do this for nothing. Yeah. And then these people rally around me, and as you said, they become your family. And that's powerful. And I know that you stopped swimming at 17. Yeah. You said that one thing I wanted to touch on is the amount of time. You said that at one point you were swimming about 19 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you said that any less than that and your times aren't going to improve, which blows my mind.
I know. So you get to a certain level and if you're not hitting those levels, your times don't improve. But I think we were overtraining. Anyway, 19 hours a week is a lot. And,
we're talking almost a seventh of the week, almost a whole day.
Yeah, so just to prove a point, and this is something that I've reflected back on, even now about overtraining. I remember going to a club gala in Bath, and back in the day, you never heard of the pool being 0.9 of a metre deep. It was always a lot deeper. So it was a new environment for me, and they just brought out these extra high blocks. So so you're diving from a really high block into a shallower pool. So you need to take a better trajectory and really dive outwards. But I did a lazy dive, managed to crack the top of my head, and got carted off to hospital. It's like a bug bath in the pool.
Jesus, like a shark attack in there.
Shark attack in the pool. Yeah. So so I had to take 2 weeks out of swimming, and then it was Gloucester City Swimming Club Championships in 2 weeks' time, and I was getting really worried because I've not been able to train. I'm gonna. My time is going to be rubbish. I've not felt the water. I'm not going to be able to hold on to it properly. Anyway, when it comes to the championships, I swam 100 metres front crawl, and I beat my personal best time by 5 seconds, which is massive. So that should have been to me the first indicator that they call it taper nowadays. Needed to rest. Yeah. Needs to let my body reset.
It's funny again. I know we've got rugby in common too. I know you played 10 years with Spartans. And, but they train completely differently now to how you would have trained when you were younger. How I would have trained. Which was it was bone on bone. Training sessions are 100%. Because if you don't do that, then how are you going to be ready for Saturday? They don't train like that anymore.
No, don't they?
No, not at all. They don't. Of course, there's going to be contact sessions, but it's not the kind of training is as hard as or harder than a game, because that's how we prepare you. They recognize, there is a recognition now that that's a daft way of conditioning people, because that's how injuries happen.
By battering them,
literally batter you.
I got injured in training. So
there you go.
We were doing down at Spartans. I was 17, and I was in a mall, and all of a sudden it went to the floor. I think Stephen Stroud, he was probably the biggest one in the team, fell on top of me, and I had this crunch. And it was my collarbone.
Right.
And I got up, and there was like a sort of bump sticking out of here.
Yeah.
And the guys said, just keep moving it around, keep moving your arm around.
Oh yeah, just put some ice on it, just put a sponge on it, mate.
Go back in, or whatever it is. And I went off to the change rooms. It got a lot worse, and asked if anyone could take me to the hospital. No. So off I went on my push bike, one hand handed on the bike, and cycled to the hospital by myself, and then found out I broke my collarbone. So it's like,
I love that. They're like, just move it around, mate.
Yeah,
just
move it around.
That's how bodies work.
Yeah.
So, it's just like just wish it better. That's all right. Yeah. So at 17, that's a good time to say, you realised that you couldn't swim. You got Western Counties, done fantastic things, but you thought, right, I need a career now. I need to be working. That's the time at which we need to work. So you just stopped cold turkey.
So I stopped swimming cold turkey because obviously I think what it was for me is because I started working. I knew I couldn't put the hours in. The disappointment of seeing my times drop back and not being able to be at the level I was at would have done me damage, and you know, I'd have felt like I was going backwards. But then I was left with this massive guilt that I'd let my coach down. I let all those people down that had trained me, and you know, I probably still had a lot of potential left in me at that age because I hadn't fully developed.
17, you're not even,
you're
physiologically,
so
you're
yeah,
not
so
even
I
where
was
you're
at
going
the
to be.
sticking point in my times, but I probably would have improved. I stopped too early, and I always look back and think, what if? And I had this massive overriding guilt, that, you know, all throughout my life until I got to a certain point, we'll touch on later, where all that pressure sort of was relieved. So
did Henry, did Helen not come to you and say, hey mate, what are you doing?
No, I just,
Really?
I never really had much contact with them. I bumped into Henry at a car boot the once, and I just remembered shaking his hands. He was quite old and he had cold hands, and then he died, and no one told me about his funeral, which I was just, I would have been there.
How old were you when he passed?
I'm not sure, probably 16. No, it's not 16. Sorry, I can't remember what age it would have been. Probably about 19, 20, something like that. So.
Right, so only a couple of years later, that's somebody that's had a
Yeah.
fundamental impact on your whole life, and taught you an awful lot about yourself.
Yeah,
and
just
it's interesting that almost you would have done yourself mental damage by continuing in your mind, but not at the level you thought you should have been. So you just stopped.
I always felt like I owed them. I always
Right.
felt like I owed, and that they'd done so much for me, and I hadn't really finished giving back. I think that was what the guilt was, and not foreseeing my full potential. So and then I joined Spartans.
So you found rugby. That was
Rugby, yeah. So
that was the thing.
I enjoyed rugby because it was another outlet. It was
Sure.
something I could get stuck into,
And you could fit it around work, right?
and
What were you doing for work at the time? What did you go straight into after school?
I worked for my uncle to start with. He was a bricklayer and did like concrete factory floors and stanchion bases where you put the steels on. I helped out setting out all the shuttering and power floating and leveling off the concrete, and basically hodding and hodding, carrying bricks up ladders, and just mixing up the muck.
You
And,
can tell I've got the softest hands
and
in
then-
Gloucester, mate.
and
I
then,
don't know what
and then
hodding
when
is.
we didn't have any work on, I would get outsourced to a guy called Tony from Sabrina Fencing, and I'd learn fencing.
Right.
That was grafting.
So it was all very manual.
Very manual, yeah. And then in the winter when we didn't have work on, my uncle was a gamekeeper as well, so we'd go up to Eddie the Apps in Cirencester, where they'd have a pheasant shoot on, and we'd go pheasant beating,
Right.
which is quite nice, walking through the woods, and then you'd be flagging all these birds to fly across the valley, so unfortunately people could shoot them, and then you go and pick the dead birds up and cart them away. But
Did you ever feel a class divide there?
there was a massive, of course there was a class divide. They're
There
really
was this lad from
posh
Gloucester
and-
who used to go to bloody Fred and Rose West House, who's grown up as you have, and then all of a sudden you're working almost for these these other people who this is fun to them, is going shooting birds. Did you was there ever any contact with those guys, or were you very much kept separate?
We were kept separate, but my uncle was friendly with Eddie's son, so I got to chat to a few of them. But I was quite young still, so I wasn't, men don't mix with boys from that sort of
true. Right.
So it's I was pretty much like you're just the skivvy.
So swimming was no longer part of your life. You're working, you're playing
No,
rugby.
I gave up swimming completely.
When did you? 'Cause I was with Mark Weir the other day. And he said, "Oh, who have you got coming up?" And I said, "Actually, you might know John. He's local." And he said, "I do know John." How do you know Mark? And when did you get into MMA?
So I knew Mark. I used to work on the doors in Gloucester as a what they call it, a door supervisor now, don't they? So not a doorman. I worked with him at, I can't remember the name of the club now. It's one on Eastgate Street anyway. It's irrelevant. But I got chatting to him about martial arts and stuff, and ended up going training with him down Vauxhall Road. So his dad used to own a shop down Vauxhall Road, and it was shelled out. It was just matting on the floor, a few heaters, and Leon Roberts was there, a UFC referee, and that this on Sundays it was a grappling session on the floor. So you would have like 6-10 minute rounds grappling, and basically you're trying to tie them up in knots.
10-minute rounds.
Yeah, it's basically trying to tie them up in knots and armbar them.
When was this? Can you remember?
30.
Oh, you were 30. Okay, so this
Yeah,
is a
so
little
it's
bit
quite
later
late.
on.
Yeah. So 30.
But I mean, still young enough to try new sport.
Yeah. So I always remember like you couldn't go out drinking on a Saturday night if you're doing grappling on a Sunday, because it would just took everything out of you. It took every fibre of your body to physically go on the floor.
He said you were good.
Pardon?
He said you were good.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. He was very, very complimentary. And in fact, I was with Jay Marshall. Do you know Jay?
Yeah.
Jay was there as well, as I was chatting about you, and Jay was like, "Oh yeah, no, John was good." So,
okay. I remember Chi Mills.
Shay Mills.
Shay Mills. I always say Chi for some reason.
Yeah.
I remember Shay coming in when he was about 17, 18. Yeah. And I was to grapple with him, and he went on to do great things.
Yeah, no, he's done very well. Yeah. You tried all these different things. Life's happening. You mentioned Ellis, your son.
Yeah, so I was 27 when I had Ellis. He's now 26.
Yeah, it's mad.
So Ellis ended up. I took him when he was younger to train with Mark, and ended up stopping. Didn't like it,
right.
and then went back later.
Oh, no way.
So he's joined. He's had 3 fights now, and he won his last one in Swindon this year.
Yeah, so, as in MMA?
Yeah, MMA, yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay. I didn't know that.
And he loves it, so...
Yeah. But, I touch on this because, you then had, for want of a better word, post-swimming, a normal life, right? You're working, kids, all of this happening, you're trying to find your way a little bit, with rugby, with MMA, you're doing all these things. And then 23 years later...
I know.
You find your way back to swimming. How?
I always class it as I was about 39. I always class it as my midlife crisis. How I got back, I'd not been training for about 3 years. I'd given up training.
As in gym, anything?
Anything really. Yeah, I wasn't really doing much. I was sitting home drinking and just.
Just on that note, like how much of a part was drinking playing in your life?
Quite a lot. I come from a background of family members who drink all the time, so whenever you go out, it's not just the odd one. It's like
skinful.
You're getting a skinful, and I'm the sort of person who does things to extreme.
Yeah.
So I want to stay out, not because I want to be the last home, but I just enjoy the atmosphere so much that being out with people that I end up getting back late, and so and you really feel it the next day, especially when you get older. So I was like just sat at home, just like drinking and then feeling sorry for myself, and I always mention about the fact I was watching the likes of David Walliams from the channel, he did amazing time, and I used to watch a program with Robson Greenan, and I remember a particular series where Robson Green meets the polar bear, aka Lewis Pugh, and I think they're in Scotland somewhere, and Robson just about makes it across this lake, and I'm thinking, how the bloody hell can you do this in the cold? And it always resonates with me. So so all these things are playing a part in my mind. I'm thinking I can do something like that. Not particularly ice swimming at the time, but I can do something like that. I can, why is David Walliams swimming the channel? He's only a comedian, and I was a swimmer. So I looked online and I found an advertisement for someone to join a group of swimmers who were going to swim the Solent. And this was in like 4 weeks' time. So I got hold of this woman called Josie Shielto and said I was interested. And she said, I'm really sorry, she said, but, found someone now. But if on the day the coast isn't clear, the line of sight across the Solent isn't clear, because it has to be clear, so, to make it safe, I'll let you know, and if someone drops out, you got first spot. So knowing this, I thought there's a chance I might be able to do it. So I went and got myself a wetsuit, Went to lake. No, let me go back a step. I think this is an important point because, and I was trying to reach out for people to try and help me, give me advice on how to do it, motivate me. So I knew a guy called Ian Banyard who worked with Paul McKenna. That I used to work with Ian at Royal Mail. He does some natural mindfulness and things like that. But I reached out to him, Ian. How can I change this mindset? How can I get myself? What steps do I need to take to start to swim again or to become a distance swimmer?
So let me ask him where you were. You say that you felt low. Like, what do you mean by
that? Low, that I felt empty, that I was nobody, that I was just nothing, that that I was irrelevant. I just I didn't feel like I was. I don't know how to put it, but you just feel like everyone's looking down on you. You just feel like you're nobody. I've always had this low opinion of myself, and it's always crept into my head, and I don't know. Yeah, I was just at a stage in my life where I needed something to clutch onto, something to aim towards, and I just felt that guilt that life had slipped past and I've achieved nothing.
So you're knocking on the door of 40.
Yeah, so I suddenly realised that these people have achieved all these things, and what have I done? I had this, I did swimming and I did rugby, but I never really got to that level, and I always had that guilt that I'd never given quite back, especially to Henry and the coaches that believed in me. So anyway, with the Solent, the Solent swim didn't go ahead as planned because there was the fog fog was across the Solent, and so I got to train 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks notice to train for the Solent. So the first week, I went to Lake 32. I'd never swam outdoors before. I remember doing half a mile the first day. I went back the next day, did a mile. I went back the next day, did 2 miles, and I went back the next day, they did 4 miles.
Jesus.
Bearing in mind that the Solent's like a 3 mile swim, but I didn't do it in. My technique was completely gone.
So 23 years, you felt like you just.
I was out of breath. I wasn't able to feel the water, hold the water, swim with any grace. I was just tired, fatigued. I was doing what I call balcony to balcony breathing, which is like some people breathe every 2 strokes so they can get enough oxygen in. I was breathing that way, so I was doing 1 arm pull, 1 breath, 1 arm pull, 1 breath.
Right.
And I actually ended up doing that across the Solent as well.
Yeah.
So I'd lost all that stamina, all that technique, and it was all, so I went to Lake 32, did those 4 swims up to 4 miles, and then my wetsuit arrived. And then when I got in the wetsuit, I put it on, and I quickly realised, oh my God, it fatigues you. It's almost like having weights on your shoulders. You're trying to stretch out, and it's fatiguing your arms and stuff. So I had to build up again. So I built it up over the next 3 or 4 days, building up more distance. And then, anyway, when I turned up, to the Solent, it was a lovely summer's day. The water was 21 degrees, so really no need to wear a wetsuit, but we all wear wetsuits. And what I was worried about was all these people that have been training for 6 months, they're just going to annihilate me and go off and leave me, and I felt really vulnerable. And we got in with the kayakers, and we had the RN lifeboat lead us out across the Solent. And as I've got my head down swimming, I look around. There's most of these people doing heads-up breaststroke. So all the pressure was off. And then I started to really enjoy it. And then I just remember there's this like magical moment, and where 2 butterflies, I'm in the middle of the Solent, these butterflies are swimming across the water. I never really thought about, butterflies go from one set of land to the next and fly across the water.
I'd never thought about that before.
I never thought about it. It just entered my head. But it's like all these little magical moments, and just being in a body of water where you can see one part of land and the next part of land, and you're moving from one place to the next. That was just magical as well. And just you know, and as I was finishing the swim, you start to step out in the sand and you walk onto this nice sandy beach, and I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah.
Did it remind you why you loved swimming in the first
Yeah,
place?
yeah. It just was everything about swimming I loved. And then I got hooked. I got hooked.
How far behind you were the team?
There's one guy called Josh, and we had the same wetsuits on. We never planned it, but we were sort of level pegging. So Josh was.
So he was front crawl as well.
Front crawl as well, yeah. So yeah, yeah.
Right,
so
right.
It was a nice, yeah. And then my mum was there, and Becky, and a guy.
Becky being your wife.
Becky, my wife, sorry, yeah. And there's a guy I used to know from the pub, the North End Vaults, when I was younger. I dated his daughter, and John Duckinfield. And he heard I was going there. So he actually turned up to meet me. I hadn't seen him for 20 years.
Right.
And he turned up at the beginning. It's like, you know, it's really nice that someone...
You find that, don't you? When you do something, people want to be part of that something with you.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful,
Yeah.
you know, it's almost like you need to step outside of your comfort zone and put yourself, I mean, I've had so many wonderful people reach out for this, you know, for the podcast, which I don't know how I can help, but I want to help.
Yeah.
It's like, just be there, man. Just be supportive, you know, there's probably not loads you can do, but just be supportive of, and almost people seeing in you trying to put yourself out there and do something that maybe isn't standard, you know, common.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I want a bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's lovely. So people do come out of the woodwork.
I'm just buzzing at the moment because I've got this thought going through my head about swimming, but about how I was talking about Robson Green and Lewis Pugh, the polar bear that, you know, sort of idolised for his cold water swimming, and then all the dots connect, and as you'll find out in the podcast, we actually end up meeting and sharing a certain award. So it's crazy how you can watch the TV and then feel like you're nothing and go on to do all these swims, and eventually your paths meet.
Yeah.
But there's certain things along the way that sort of trigger that.
What did it make you think of yourself?
That was a big milestone. I mean, it was the biggest, for me, it was the biggest swim of my life.
Yeah.
I'd never swum 3 miles. I think it might have been 2.5 because the tide goes out and stuff. But I'd never swam that sort of distance in my life before, as an actual an event or a swim. So all my swimming was pool based, and you'd be sprinting 100 meters, not trying to string a stroke together and keep it continuous for that amount of time. So yeah.
So where did you go from there?
Bigger and better things. No,
done. Podcast over. See you later.
No. So yeah. So talking about connecting the dots. So I think the next event I entered an event called, and I don't do anything on a small level. Let's go and do the next biggest thing. Yeah. So I entered an event in Guildford called To Swim for Life, and you swim 24 miles. So you swim a mile on the hour every hour, and then when you get out, that's your rest, and you've got to be back to the poolside within 5 minutes.
And how long does a mile take?
So my average mile time then was probably about 26 minutes.
Okay. So you got like 20 minutes out of the pool.
Yeah. So I get in, and this was in April. So we were told to bring wetsuits along just in case. But started it in skins. I think the pool temperature was about 23 degrees. There's quite a few lanes of people. I think about 10 lanes. Some people there are doing relays. So they were doing, maybe 4, 5 or 6 people doing a relay. Right. And they were like soloists like me. So, I remember doing the swim, and it was chilly. The air temperature at night was -1. And they had this like big marquee where you went to get changed and get dry and get warm. And all I can remember, there was like this little tiny heater on a chair in this huge marquee, and it wasn't even enough to dry a towel.
Right.
So so doing the swim, I get to about mile 7, and I get this twinge, like I've ripped something in my arm. And obviously I've not done this sort of distance before, and I'm there thinking, I don't want to give up. What do I do? do I carry on, or how am I going to swim with this? And I decided in my head, like I was going to carry on and swim the next 17 miles regardless, and I'm going to finish it. And it's just that mindset that, you know, I'm here to do this. I'm not going to fail. By mile 7, just before we got in, I come over the tannoy that, you know, if you've got wetsuits, we want you to don your wetsuits, put your wetsuits on, because people at that stage were getting carted away with hypothermia.
Right.
So
remember
it's
what
quite.
pool temperature was at that time?
Pool temperature was still around sort of like 22, 23, but because of the air temperature and the wind chill,
people getting
out, -1, people getting
chilling.
out, chilling, it's that sort of thing. And I remember, like, whilst I'm there, I talking about planting seeds. I always like this term, planting seeds, because Kate Vines, I met a woman called Kate Vines, and she's there, and she said that she'd done a one-way channel swim with just the two of them, and I can't remember her partner's name, but she said this was the second time she'd been here. And she said she could only complete half of this last time because it was so tough, but she'd swam the channel. So she sort of planted a seed in my head. She said, like, if you can do this, you can swim the channel. So I had that in my head. So
because what is the channel? What's the distance?
Oh, the English Channel from England to France. Yeah.
Sure. What's the distance of that?
21 miles as a crow flies, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've done 24 and 24, right? So
yeah. So she said, if you do this, you could potentially swim the English Channel. So. Yeah, and I remember pushing through with it, and my time slowed right down. I was getting really fatigued towards the end, wishing it was almost like you didn't want to do it, but as long as you dropped yourself in the water, you could float and carry on. If you could find that you could get into a rhythm again, and it was almost really hard just to get to the edge, just to get yourself in. But I remember doing it every time, thinking, I don't want to do this again. But you plop yourself in and keep going. And then on before the last mile, it was really, really cold. And then my cousin, who'd come with me to support me, said, come to the van. So he took me to the van and he put the heaters on. And I got supercharged with this heat. And I remember getting in, doing the last mile faster than any mile I'd done previously.
No way. Even mile 1?
Yeah, even mile 1, yeah. So it's crazy. So I was really super warm, supercharged up, and it just goes to show what the cold can do to you when it gets into you. And, you know, yeah, so I managed to do that. And, Kate said, well done. And that was the last of that. I done, so where do I go from here? So that was
Kate's inspired you. You said she's planted a seed. So
yeah, I planted the seed, and yeah. So as
where does Mark come into this? Mark Layton ended up becoming your partner.
Yeah. So Mark Layton. I swam with Mark as a junior for Gloucester City Swimming Club, and we had a sort of like close bond because we were both the same age group. We both used to swim 100 metres backstroke.
Right.
So we were always vying for first position, racing against each other in the pool. And we were predominantly just like backstroke specialists.
Right.
So I remember during club days, like if he went off in front of me and I was touching his toes and he wouldn't let me pass, I'd put his legs go over the top of him, and then you had to go extra fast so that they wouldn't catch you and do the same. Yeah. So there was that competitive sort of like streak. So I met Mark. I was doing swim fit at Gloucester at GL1, a swim fit session in the after. These are sort of planned sessions where you can go in, you can be a member of the public and go in and you just get told what to do and right. do certain sets. So Mark was there. I bumped into him, asked him what he'd been up to, and he'd said he swam at Masters and he'd done a few open water events. And I said, I've just got back into swimming. I've done the Solent and I've done the Swim for Life event. And he said, what's your sort of what's your direction? What's your goal? What do you want to do? And I said, I want to swim the channel. I said, because Kate had planted the seed. I said, but I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it by myself. And he said, well, I want to swim it as well. And
what do you mean you can't afford to do it by yourself?
It's about $3,500-4 grand to swim the channle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, is that just in terms of getting the boat to support?
Yeah. So it's a lot of money, and I wasn't earning a great deal, so it would have been a big sacrifice. And then he said to me, I'd like to do it. He said, but why don't we go house and just do the one way? So I thought, well, Kate did that. So so off we two, and we do start training, and this is when I got more into open water and more. I wouldn't say dangerous. What's the word? Playful with the water. I don't know. This is where I bumped into Donald McDonald as well. So Donald was at GL1, and he was going through a rough time, a family time at the time,
Yep.
and he decided that he was going to tag along with us, and he was going to be our support and train with us, and he made a big difference in terms of like mindset, because Donald's a very positive bloke, and if you said something negative, he would turn it around to a positive, and he's helped me a lot throughout my swimming career. So we used to go down to Clevedon and to train, not Mark to start with. Mark didn't want to train at Clevedon. Clevedon because it's the nearest source of open water to me. Like closest to the English Channel. Because most people who train for the English Channel go down to Dover, but it's a 3-hour journey,
it's too far.
and it's too far. And I remember getting the walk with Donald. I had speedos on. Donald had a black wetsuit on, and we knew nothing about swimming in open water, and we didn't have any lights, any tow floats, and we went out in the pitch black of night, and the waves were like sort of like about 6-7 foot high. And I remember swimming to Lady Bay in the pitch black, and then Donald had a wetsuit on, and the waves would part us, so I wouldn't be able to see him. Like, Donald, where are you? And I like trying to like search and find him, and I was worried for him because like I was the confident swimmer and he wasn't so confident, and so we went to Lady Bay and back, and just as we get around the head of the pier, I remember a fisherman shining the torch down and saying, you're all right. It's like, no, we're having fun, we're fine. It's like fun. Yeah, getting battered. But seriously, I thought I was going to die on the way to Lady Bay, just choking on water. I don't know where I'm going with this, but over the years, I just threw myself into the worst case scenarios. I thought, if I'm going to do the English Channel, I need to make sure I'm prepared for anything. And I would then find out, when's the worst conditions in Clevedon? What's the worst weather? And I would go out when I could find a force 4 where you could barely get in because the waves are smashing on the rocks on the shore, and I get in and I swim up and down. Right. And to start with, you wouldn't find a rhythm, you get battered around. But after a few weeks, months, you start to develop this technique where you start to almost spear through and glide through the waves, and you feel as one. And it's almost like, I would liken it to a bucking bronco, where you've got someone who can actually move with a bucking bronco. You sort of move with the water and find your way through, and it's effortless in the end. Right. So you can look at the worst conditions, and now to me they're the best. I've been out in conditions like that with a few friends, and we swam from Portishead to Clevedon. And as soon as you're in, it's like you're at a fairground. It's like Alton Towers. You're doing butterfly off the top of a wave, crest of a wave, down to a big dippy, and you're screaming like kids. So it's just amazing. So so I learned not to fear water. Water became my friend.
And work with it.
And work with it, and I felt like I was invincible.
So this, for your mental health, was just a phenomenal thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the people you meet along the way, and
I think that's what we crave. We crave community and like-mindedness and challenge and all of these things.
Yeah.
That, when you're sat here on a sofa with a bottle of wine watching other people do it.
Yeah.
Of course, you're then going to feel like, well, I've got nobody around me. I'm by myself. Not necessarily by yourself, but you're feeling like, well, what am I achieving and how and where and when and why and how then do you get to? I mean, how did you find the Channel swim?
How did I find it? Tough. So when you swim, I was training, up and down the Channel. At Clevedon, but also the Marine Lake. So I was doing up to 6 1-hour swims with half an hour break at the Marine Lake, which was probably as much as I was going to do in the channel, to be honest, for a one-way. So I knew I could do the distance. So, how do I find the channel? So you're swimming briny water at Clevedon. The water's briny. You come out with a silt beard all over your face. You can't see a thing. And all you hear about the channel is it's filthy, it's full of flotsam, it's disgusting. And I get in, I start my swim. It's like, I can see my bloody hands. I can see it. Oh, this is amazing. This is the clearest water I've ever swam in. Wow. So
the relay itself wasn't like, I don't want to say it wasn't a challenge, but because you trained to such a degree,
it was a challenge because you're I conditioned myself to to those sort of elements, to the waves and the cold and everything else, for that sort of distance. And but when I got in, I was getting tired. Mark was finding it easy. It's weird how Mark found it easy and I found it hard. And I never found out till afterwards. He didn't tell me. He said on one side of the boat, the wind's you're protected from the wind. So he was swimming on one side because he was protected from the wind. I was swimming on the other side, which is my natural breathing side. But the wind was coming into the boat, so I was getting hit by all the waves off the boat and backwards and forwards. Right. Whereas on the other side, it's pretty flat. So I was mystified. And because he said I could swim there and back. And so I was mystified, I think I couldn't do that, as I'm bloody knackered. Yeah. So
were you doing a mile each?
So it was an hour and an hour out. So I remember being in the water on that first swim, and I had my uncle on there, the town crier, Gloucester.
Well, we haven't even touched on that, of course. Your uncle is?
My uncle's the town crier of Gloucester and the town crier of Camden Market in London.
That's Alan Myatt.
Alan Myatt. He's a thespian. He's a character actor, and he's.
If you ever landed in at Heathrow,
he's got that big
enormous mural
on that. Yeah, it's funny the amount of people that come into Heathrow and friends of mine is like, met your uncle. They take a picture next to him on the wall. Yeah, so
he's quite the character. He's very well known around here.
Yeah,
and further afield, I think he is that archetypical town crier. He's big, he's loud, he's booming. He's got the oye. He does it. Oh, he actually. I mean, you both own Guinness World Records, right? He has the world record for the loudest town cry.
Yeah,
I think. Am I right in saying that?
He had to. I think he had to keep his voice above 100, cry every so often. And I think it was 102 decibels. He had to keep it above for 24 hours.
Right.
So he's got the 2 Guinness World Records. I'm not sure. Yeah. So.
But you're both Guinness World Record holders. We'll get on to yours.
Yeah. Getting onto that. So. Where was that? So
he was on the boat.
Yeah, so he was on the boat. He manufactured this position on the boat. We needed we needed some funding, but he had his own ideas. I know. So he said he'd put £500 towards being on the boat with us. But he engineered it for himself. So we're there swimming across, and he's in contact with the BBC and all that sort of stuff. Because of course, Alan being Alan, he's going to be the first man in full regalia to cry across the channel since William Conqueror in 1066. That's what you do. So we made it to the news because Alan's on there doing his proclamations across the channel. So that was great support, and it was nice to have him on board. Yeah. So that was my first encounter of
the channel.
The channel, yeah.
The channel. So 4 years between having that moment where you said, David Williams is swimming the channel. Why can't I?
Yeah.
4 years you're in. You're doing
Thanks for doing the maths for me. So
You're welcome.
I'll get your pineapple.
So you're there. You're doing the channel. You've done it. In fact, you've got to France. How you feeling?
Felt great. I felt great, but I didn't feel that massive sense of achievement like it.
Because you've done it as part of a relay.
Part of a relay, yeah.
Right.
And that come more to the fore when I bumped into some old rugby friends and stuff like that, and even my uncle. You've only done half each, and I think Mark was sort of getting the same digs as well. And then we had a conversation where this all came out. And I was like, you're getting the same shit as well. So I was like, okay.
Well, I heard you say, again, swear all you like, I heard you say it was like a red rag to a bull.
Yeah, it was. It was for both of us. I was like, that's it. We're going both ways. So
and nobody'd ever done that before?
Not at the time, not whilst we were training for it, but there were two women. They did it with CS and PF, and they were called the Gangster Grannies. So they called themselves the Gangster Grannies, and they took them 20 odd hours. It's quite a long time. But when we decided we were going to do train for the two-way channel swim, I got in contact with Sal Minty Gravett, who swam the channel every decade for about the last 5 years.
Right.
And as solos, and she's done a two-way.
Hang on, so she's done what? So she swam the channel every year for the last 5 years?
For every decade of her life, from a certain age.
Right.
And she did a two-way as well. And I got in contact with the Gangster Grannies, and we set up a chat, WhatsApp group, and just asked them some advice and to see if there's anything they could help us with to do the two-way. So it was good. So the Gangster Grannies were the first two women to do it. They did it so under this Channel Swimming Association. Sorry, you have to swim at 1 hour intervals.
Right.
Whereas with the CS and PF, they've got a slightly lax set of rules.
Right.
You can wear neoprene. You can do it in 2 hour. Why that's easier, I don't know. Do it in 2 hour stints, but it doesn't stick to the original formula that was set. So,
what temperature is the channel when you're swimming? Like, I mean, I'm going to guess it changes, but
so on the first swim, I think it was about 18. Okay. On the second channel swim, it ranged from about 16, 17 in the day, and then with the undercurrents at night, it went down to about 11 degrees.
Okay, because I mean, it was a 22-hour, 49-minute relay. That's what it ended up being. So you're going through the night. You're going, the depths are cold.
Yeah,
and
I want to take you back on this.
Excellent, because I want to focus on temperature here, because I think most people don't realise it. When you go to a swimming pool and you get in and everyone goes, bloody hell, it's cold. Yeah. That's 20 plus degrees, right? We're talking 27, 28 degrees, 28. Yeah. And that is when you go to a swimming pool, and everybody listening to this, watching this will know that feeling of when you first get in, and it's cold. And you just get in, put your shoulders under, you'll be fine, right?
And the thing is, what you don't realise as well, the air temperature there was about 30 degrees at least in the pool.
There you go.
And then,
So when we're talking about these temperatures, because everybody thinks, 27, that's balmy, that's bloody lovely, 27 degrees, because we know what a 27 degree temperature
do you know what
feels like.
Do you know what? Getting in a swimming pool at 27 degrees still feels cold to me.
That's hilarious.
No, it does. You get in and you get that initial chill, and it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Just because, and people say, you're a cold water swimmer.
But you're not going to be immune to it, are you?
No.
But that feeling, and the only thing I've got to liken it to is I came with you once. I came with you and Don, and we went earlier, 5 a.m. or something, 6. We went to Lake 32, you touched on it earlier on, in Cirencester, in South Surrey, one of my favourite places in the world. And it was about 7 degrees that morning. Yeah. And I'd never done it before. And you two were like, come on, you'll be absolutely fine.
You'll be fine, yeah.
You'll be absolutely fine. I did it, and then at the end of it, went swimming. I think I was in there for mere minutes. I can't remember exactly how long. Like not a shameful amount of time. I feel like I did my time. I did that. Where your fingers feel like, to me anyway, and I appreciate you swimming 0. Where my fingers feel big and floaty and sausagey, and my nether regions are feeling all sorts of things. Let me tell you,
I've had
So that's my experience of it. So I've got to experience something of it, and I got out, and I remember you both being like, "So next week," and I was like, "Guys, I'm never doing this ever again."
And you didn't come back. You never showed up again. Yeah.
That's a tick
in the box. There, it's most people.
I've done it. I felt it. That's okay. I've experienced that. I just think it's important to give people context of temperature here, because when we're talking 7 degrees, people will think of that like a 7-degree day. If they've never experienced 7-degree water, they'll think of that like, well, that's just a winter's day, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, no, you've never felt cold like this.
Yeah. So, 7 degrees to me now, it's like feels warm, because
of course it does.
No, not warm in the sense that it's warm, but it's warm in the sense that my fingers aren't taken away, and it doesn't feel like red hot pokers under my fingernails. Anything above like 6, 7 is like, oh, this is great because it's not hurting me as much.
I hate that. Anything under 5 degrees is ice. Is that right?
Yeah. So when you're going to an international ice swimming event or a GB ice swimming event, ice swimming is classed as anything 5 degrees and below.
Right.
Yeah. So no.
Bloody cold.
No records. Even if it's 5.1, the records won't stand.
Interesting.
So it's like it's got to be 5 and below.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you've done your channel swim. You wanted, and it was 3 years later that you did the dual relay. So now you have swum to France and back. Effectively you've done the distance, but you've gone to France and back.
Okay. I remember when we first started training for our 2-way swim, I thought I've got to do more distance, got to go further. And so in the first week, I did 16 miles on Monday in the pool. Brilliant. So 3 or 4 sessions, 16 miles, and I kept pushing it, getting niggling injuries, things getting worse, pain up to about 8 out of 10 in my shoulder. Wow. And then it was very quickly, in a few months, I developed serious problems. And then building up to the swim that should have happened in July 2017, I was fearing like there's something seriously wrong now. I got to a stage where I had to stop swimming. Then I went and had went to Nuffield, had my shoulder scan by Roddy Jakes. He was a channel swimmer. He's a specialist, and he knew everything about shoulders. And I ended up with degeneration in my AC joint, calcification of my subscapularis, and a severe bursitis. Right. So, and he said...
Lots of Latin to say your shoulders
He said, basically, your swimming's over.
Yeah.
And so I rang Donald up to say, Don, I don't think... He said, Johnny, you'll find a way, don't worry. He said, don't panic. And, so I went back and asked Roddy what he could do. And so they gave me these sort of like cortisone injections. So I had 2 cortisone injections, one in my AC joint and one in my bursitis. And then I went to have something called barbotage done in my arm, where they tried to take out the build-up, and there wasn't enough in there to take away, so that was just left to settle by itself. So, yeah, things, I had to then postpone the swim to the September, but even up to the September, things were still really, really bad. So now I was down in Dover with Mark and Donald, our support, and we're there waiting for the swim, and we're down on Dover Beach, and decide we're going to go for a swim just to try out the water. The water was 16 degrees, and there was no longer the warm summer air temperatures. It was really quite chilly in September, and I remember thinking, how am I going to get to France and back in the cold with problems in my shoulder still that felt like if I'd have carried on, I would have knackered it for life.
Was it the same shoulder, just to jump back, as it was when you were doing the life swim?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. So it's a problem shoulder.
Yeah, problem shoulder, yeah. So I just thought, what am I doing? And I thought, well, I can't throw this opportunity away. And I was just willing to sacrifice everything, even if it meant tearing every joint in my shoulder to go there and back. But it's still in my mind, I was like, how am I going to overcome the cold? Because it's just too cold. It just, in my head, it was just too cold. So anyway, we're there, and the weather picks up, and the waves start battering ashore, and then we're waiting for the pilot to contact us, and he said, not today, no, I'll let you know. And we're there, there for a week. The weather never lets up. In the end, it turns out, it's not going to go ahead. And it was almost like, it was a weight off my mind, thinking now I've got an opportunity now to go away and get things sorted and come back better, because I'm not right for this. Interesting. And it was like a godly moment.
Are you one of these people that believes that things happen for a reason?
Yeah. Okay. I think I do now.
So there you go.
everything happens for a reason. So I went away, got my shoulder sorted out. I had an appointment with the NHS. They found an even bigger bursitis in my shoulder. Right. So I remember being in as they're scanning it. I walked out the room as they scanned it, and I popped my head back in. It's like, can you do anything about it? They went, yeah. What? Can you give me an injection? Yeah. Can you do it now? And yes, so I had it done there and then, and that sort of settled that shoulder. But then I wanted to take the pressure off, so I went away and adjusted my stroke. I looked at all my stroke mechanics, and I made sure I entered with a deeper arm to take the pressure off my shoulder, and then with that, within about 2-3 weeks of us going to do the double two-way channel swim, I was really confident. I put all the training in, everything was healed, and I knew that nothing was going to stop me, because not only I'd done the training, I got into ice swimming. So ice swimming gave me the most confidence, because...
What made you jump to ice swimming?
So it's a strange thing. I used to go to Lake 32 to do a bit of swimming, and then I met a guy called David Stevens, and he'd done this thing called an ice mile. I never really asked him what it was, but he'd never been to Clevedon, so I said, Dave, come to Clevedon, I'll take you up and around the pier, and we can have a chat, and So anyway, David Stevens turns up the one morning to Clevedon. The water's 7 degrees, which is really, really cold for me. Cold for you. David gets in, and he gets in doing heads up breaststroke. So I'm there next to him chatting, doing breaststroke, and as we're going like 300-400 meters out to the head of the pier, I'm starting to get really cold. The cold's getting deep in me. We've been out for about 20 odd minutes now, just chatting, and I could feel like I felt vulnerable. I felt like, I needed to get back to shore. Yeah. I said, Dave, do you mind if I just leave you? I said, I'll catch up when you get back to shore. I said, I need to get back. So I remember swimming back, and then when I got back, I was delirious. I was like completely out of it. I felt like I was going to die. It was so cold, and all these people rallied around with, they give me a dry robe, someone put a hat on, someone put a scarf on, someone put mitts on, all these people there to look after me I didn't even know. Right. Someone gave me a warm drink, and then David Stevens comes out of the water, and Donald's there as well, and David said, John, I reckon you could do an ice mile. I said, what's an ice mile, Dave? He said it's you're swimming a mile below 5 degrees in goggles, speedos and cap. I said, you're mad. And then Donald turned round. He said, if Johnny can do it, Donnie can do it. And it's almost like it's set a challenge. Yeah. And then and I thought, are you serious, Donald? And he said, yeah. So we aim to train for this ice mile. So the very next week,
I think it's worth saying as well, not many people in the world have done. I think we're in the hundreds
still.
Of people in the world that have acknowledged, they've been acknowledged as having done an official ice mile.
Yeah, it's about 100. I can't remember. It was 120, 30, 40 odd at that point when I was doing it. Yeah, so it was
8 billion people on this planet.
It was a small club. Yeah. So we joined Lake 32, and we end up training for this ice mile. Of course. No one tells you it takes you 2 to 3 years to train for an ice mile. Right. You have to go through winters of acclimatisation and to build things up. And we're there, and it was a particularly cold winter. And I've charted it all. Actually, I've graphed everything. I graphed the wind temperature, the wind speed, the water temperature. How long it took me to stop shaking after every swim. So I've documented all this. It's really good to look back at the charts. But I remember getting in, and on one of my very first weeks, and it was around sort of like 7.5, 8 degrees or something like that. And I'm in the lake. I've done 20 minutes. I think I'm a legend. I think I'm on top of this game.
Hell yeah.
Okay, 8 degrees. It's 20 minutes. Yeah. And then there's this guy called John Coe, ex-world champion. He's about 60-ish. And he's swimming around the lake, and he's got all his clothes in the changing room. So he's got layers and layers meticulously set out. And I'm there. I've done my swim, done my 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm changed. I'm now going through the shaking process, recovering. Just getting on for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
No John. I'm thinking, what's happened to him? Not knowing you can push your body to a whole new level. I go out, couldn't see him around the lake. And I go and raise the alarm with the guys in the change rooms, and we all come out, and John's just getting out the water. Oh, I think I pushed it a bit too far today. And he's like, it's like, and it's just an hour. It's like 8 degrees or something.
Wow.
And he's then coming back in the change rooms. He gets changed, and he gets himself sorted. So he's very confident. I admire the fact that I've got there someone to support me, but this guy's in it by himself, alone.
Yeah.
So that's a whole new level of mental attitude and confidence. So anyway, it inspired me a bit. So I thought, I've got to do a bit more here, because this is not, I'm not at his level. So it was only within a couple of weeks I went out, and we used to go out at stupid time, and we'd go out at 5 o'clock in the morning, pitch black.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going around. To start with, we had no head torches, no lights. I'm just going around the edge of the lake, which is a mile around, okay? And, the water's 7 degrees, the cold's getting into me really deep, but I pushed for that second mile. I come back in about an hour and 13 minutes. And as I walk into the changing rooms, I know I've pushed it.
Yeah.
I know I've pushed it. John's there. It's like, obviously, I've got out after him. And he comes up to me, he said, did you just do over an hour at 7 degrees? I went, yeah. He went, well done, son, well done. He patted me on the back. So I got this, I just felt this real sort of like sense of like, wow, I've achieved something. The world champions recognise me. It's like, so he really pushed me and inspired me to push myself more.
Can we just on that? What's a normal person's response to getting out of that pool, or getting out of that lake and changing? You talked about the shakes. Can you describe what happens to other? I know it happens to you as well. I know the shakes.
Yeah. So
what's that typical kind of post swim experience?
So it all depends what the temperature is and how far you've pushed yourself in that temperature. Because the recovery is exponential to the amount of time and how cold it is in the water. So when you get out, you've got like basically a 10-minute window. When your hands are frozen, you've lost your dexterity and stuff like that, and you're mumbling, and your toes are frozen, and then you've got 10 minutes. It's almost like a race to get all your layers on.
Yeah.
So you want to get fully dressed and all kitted as much as you can, and then start to get a warm drink in you before the aftershakes kick in. Because all depending on how long you spent in there, it depends how violently you shake and how long for. And when I did the hour at 7 degrees, just over an hour at 7 degrees, I was shaking for almost an hour. And it gets that intense that it gets so rigid in your back you have to sit down, because it's just like, it's
physiologically what's happening here is all of your warm bloods rush into your core to protect your
so when you get in the cold, all depending on how cold it is, your blood will leave all your peripheries and go to protect your core and vital organs. So you'll notice in the first couple of minutes of swim it feels really, really uncomfortable, and then you'll feel like, I wouldn't say a warmth, but you start to feel like okay within yourself. So
to the point where you don't necessarily feel your limbs. You know that you're moving them.
Yeah.
But it's not like if I went swimming now, I'd know exactly, right, okay, my hand comes in at this level, at this degree. You can't feel those things, right?
No, I can feel it. I can feel it at those temperatures, but it deteriorates slowly. So after a certain amount of time, you start to lose your fingers, and then it all depends on how cold it is, it might get up to your wrist. And I've even had it where I've been numb from my elbows to my fingertips.
Right.
At the Ice World Swimming Championships.
So you know what you're doing, but you don't feel what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's almost like you know what the pattern is, you know what the pattern's supposed to be, but you can't feel that you're doing the pattern, but you're hoping that by moving your arms a certain way, you are doing it right. So
you're like, I think this is working.
Yeah. So it's like, and then, so I don't know.
So ice swimming, you're like, I think I'm quite good at this.
Yeah, so
I think I can put myself through something that a world champion could put himself through in terms of time in water.
so
What happens next?
yeah, so we're talking about the ice mile. I said it takes 2 to 3 years to do it, and it's getting to week 7 in my training, and I'm hitting temperatures of like 1 degree in the water. And I remember the one morning turning up, it was like the wind was howling, it was raining, and it was -7 air temperature, and I had to walk across. You've walked across the grass at that point, where you then have to get in, and it's like, and I remember opening the door to change. Just, I don't want to go out. Don't want to go out, and it's like, but I got to do it, and you've got that constant battle where your mind's telling you and body's telling you no, and then some, you're having to push against it, and then you go out and get in there. Then it's a whole new battle about like, now I'm cold. I felt at that point, because I pushed myself so much and we had such cold temperatures, that when it came back up to 5 degrees, that I was going to smash it. And I did a thing called a nice mile. So a nice mile is an official ice mile. So you've already swum the distance at that temperature, so you know confidently in yourself, come the day I'm going to do it. So anyway, I turned up to take Donald for a training swim, because my ice mile was to be on the Saturday. My ice mile was supposed to be on the Sunday. So luckily I had my kit in my car. So as I turned up to the gates of Lake 32, Debbie Wayman turns up and she says, John, conditions today are perfect for an ice mile. So I'm all set on being Donald second, just let him do like getting his swim done. And then it turns out that now I'm going to be the one getting in doing my ice mile. So anyway, I get changed, get in, and I just nail it. And because I put the training in and I was confident and I just kept up the cadence, and the recovery was great, and I achieved what very few had done.
4.4 degrees.
Yeah.
In that water, 28 minutes 25 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's ratified by the International Ice Swimming Association. So you became one of very few people in the world to have achieved something quite so bloody difficult.
And then a week later, Donald does it. So
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Donald. I'll talk a little bit about Donald, because he was there for me. He was my support.
Sure.
When you're doing your ice swimming, you need someone at certain temperatures to watch over you, to make sure that if anything goes wrong, they're there to help get you changed, to give you that confidence, and just to make sure you don't drown and pass away. But Donald was always a liability. He'd always pushed. He's a lot skinnier than me, a lot slimmer. He'd always trying to push himself to the level of me when I was a better swimmer slightly faster, but I had a lot more body fat. Yeah. So he didn't have that. So he's trying to always achieve what I was achieving.
And there is an age gap too, right?
Yeah, a little bit of an age gap, yeah. I don't know how many years is there, probably about 8 or 9 years, something like that. So, Donald would come into change rooms and he pushed himself to the absolute limit, to the point where he was internalized. He couldn't say or do anything. His eyes would turn to cold, almost black, and I would end up getting him changed. And I remember him swimming the one day, and it was close to 5 degrees, and I said, just do 1,000 meters today, Donald. And he went out and did that extra lap. Right. That extra 400 meters. Okay. So he ended up doing almost an ice mile in training, but he wasn't at that level, and I could see his stroke drop off rapidly. Okay. And he was slowing down. I was like, Donald, come on, beckoning him in. And as he stood up, he was slow, and he fell backwards in the water. I said, get out. It's like, And there I am, cussing him. I was calling him all the names under the sun, and apparently that's not the thing you're supposed to do, because he's so internalized he can't speak back. Yeah. You're supposed to say, you're right, mate, and give him all that confidence and reassure them. And all I was doing is bollock him, you're gonna die. It's like, so, and as I'm in the change rooms, and I've always said to him, bring loose layers. It's really important to bring loose layers, especially, we get yourself changed, because when your hands are like frozen like sausages, you can't feel anything, and the cold seems to make everything sticky, and so it's hard to get things on. He's there. I'm having to get him dressed because he can't dress himself, and trying to get his layers on. I'm like, what? That don't fit. I can't get that on. And then I end up like taking my clothes off and put my clothes on him because it was the best thing I could do because I couldn't get his clothes on. And then he's still not responsive, and I'm like, I've got him in the car. I'm panicking, got his kit in the car. Someone comes along, everything all right. I said, he's not responding. Oh, is something, put that next to his heart, a warmer. I'm then racing back to Gloucester 100 miles an hour, and he's still not like with it.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to take him to A&E and like, you know, something's bad. And then just about a mile away from Gloucester, and I think I'm all right now. It's like, oh, you fuck. It's like, but no, it's worrying. It's worrying, you know, and to see that firsthand, and you're there alone with him.
You'll know more than I will.
Yeah.
At what point, let's say somebody fell into 5-degree water, how long are they going to live if they're not moving?
I don't know, mate. They reckon like it's about 30 minutes before you become real hypothermic. Right. But I'm not sure what that temperature's set at, you know, whether it's 0 or 5. But it also weighs massively on someone's body composition, because fat helps to stave off the cold massively. Sure. Like you'll find out later when I'm. Yeah. So.
So that's January 2018. You've just achieved your ice mile.
Yeah.
And it's 2018 also. So now we're pointing towards the dual relay.
Yeah, so. But before the dual relay, I decide that, you know, I want another goal. So I've never swam in an ice swimming race before, so I went and entered the GB Ice Swimming Championships. And this was in Hatfield. And I don't enter the 100 metres, 200. I go straight for the 1,000, because that's the biggest, best distance. This is the prestige event, so I wanted to enter that. So I went to Hatfield. The water wasn't at ice temperatures. I think it was around 6 degrees, as opposed to below 5. So records don't stand, but it's still bloody cold. So I get in, and I remember a young girl, was about 18, Heidi, racing next to me, and I'm, you know, all the age groups are split up, and I remember racing against her, finished in my race, and I think I finished, I finished first in my age group by about 2.5 minutes. So I had 2.5 minutes on the next person. And I was chuffed with that. And then, you know, Donald won his age group as well. So, and then I got asked if I wanted to go and represent Great Britain in Russia. So at a later stage.
In the World Championships? In
the World Championships, the third ever World Ice Swimming Championships.
Which was the year after, right? So that was in 2019?
Yeah, so that was in 2019. So, so now I've done my ice conditioning. We're there, we then go July 2018, we go down to Dover. I've done it, you know, I'm in the best condition, injury-free, mentally in the best place in my mind I can be. Yeah. Nothing's going to stop me. And I ended up starting the swim off. So I got in at Dover, started the swim off. Instead of like the third hour this time, I was sick on the first hour. I was sick in the water and then sick in the boat. Yeah. And then
so you talked about being on the boat and, you know, feeling seasick as
well. Seasick, yeah. So, you know, it was just before I got in for my second swim. I'm, you know, you feed on the boat for an hour. You're not really getting completely warmed up, and then you're having to get in again. So, you know, it's only you know, all these things sort of accumulate. So the cold accumulates throughout the swim. So it's like you get colder and colder and colder as you go along because you get more fatigued and it's taking a lot more out of you. But yeah, on my first hour, I sat down eating, and then you get the call 5 minutes to go before you get in. I stood up and went, oh no. And I just projected everything I just eaten, projectile vomited the whole lot over the side. And I thought, this is the start of a two-way swim. This is my fuel I need to keep me going. And I've got to keep building on this for the whole swim. Yeah. And it's just like, no, it's like, you know, and so I just had to get in and swim. And then hopefully take enough food on board for next hour.
For something like that, how much of it is physical and how much is mental?
At that point, I just wanted to get it done because I knew I could do it because I did like eight 1 hours stints at Cleveland with half an hour break. I already knew I was halfway there and back. Yeah. and that's without taking an hour. I was taking a half an hour break.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's done in training. We all build up to things in training. We get to a certain stage, and that builds up the confidence, knowing that I've put in what I need to do, and you know where you are in your mind and where you are with your physicality. It's just about executing it. And the only thing left to chance then is the weather.
Yeah.
So it wasn't perfectly flat like David Williams swam across and did a record time. It was quite choppy. Yeah, I got in, swimming to France, and the first leg it's going swimmingly well. Good speed, good cadence, and then we get to near the inshore French waters, and then it turns out that I'm going to be the one swimming into land.
Right.
To get out and clear the decks. You have to clear yourself above water, whether that's standing on a sandy shore or on a rock, unless it's a complete cliff face, you touch it. Right. But there were boulders where I was heading towards, so I had to get myself out in the boulder. But I remember giving it my all, because you're working against the tide now as you're getting in. You've got to make sure you get in. So I'm going flat out. I'm going at my highest tempo I can go at, and I'm really fatiguing. And I make it into France, and I remember this is 50 minutes into my hour, and then dropping back into the water, and then just slowly making it back towards the boat because I'm knackered. For Mark to then do his hour. So first way, we did it a lot faster than 10 hours.
10:41?
10:41. And if you go back to our first channel swim, 11 hours 37.
Right, so you still did it quicker.
So we did on the first leg, we did an hour, almost an hour quicker than we did it on our sort of one way.
Yeah.
But then obviously fatigue starts to set in.
What time do you set off, by the way?
Oh God, don't ask me, mate. About 8 or 9.
So we're talking morning though.
I think so. Yeah. I can't remember.
Okay.
Do you know, that's a blur. I should have researched that. But on the way back, I remember it's getting really hard to swim. Everything's fatiguing, your arms and shoulders, and as swimmers we work so much on our rotation to be able to move through the water. What happens is you get tired, you start to get flat,
right,
and then it becomes a chore, because when you're flat you can hardly get your arms out,
right,
and then it starts to get colder at night. I'm there in the middle of the night. I'm jumping in, and you've got a light coming over the side of the boat shining down, and the water's dropped to 11 degrees, and it's freezing. But that shock in itself wakes me up a little bit. Then I hit a smack of jellyfish. For almost my whole hour swimming, I'm going through a smack, which a smack's a name for basically a shoal.
Right.
As far as the eyes could see, of you're going through jellyfish soup. When we went to our first channel swimming dinner, everyone was going on about how hard it was, how they got stung by these jellyfish, and it was terrible. And anyway, I'm in the water. I'm in this smack of jellyfish, and for me, it's at night. Got the light shining down on the water. Imagine it, and all I can see is the bioluminescence of these jellyfish, these tentacles, and the concentric circles is all lit up. It's like I'm in awe.
Yeah.
And I'm there getting stung, but it's only it's less than a stinging nettle, and each one lasts about 45 seconds.
Right.
So they're not like your lion's mane jellyfish like you get in the North Channel.
Right.
So I'm thinking, what are these people talking about?
Yeah.
So I'm swimming through it, and I'm getting stung, and then it's, the way I describe it is, I've just got 11-degree water. It's a shock to the system. I needed to wake up because I was slowing down.
Right.
I'm now being stung by jellyfish. It's given me another kick. This is the perfect tonic.
You're a masochist, mate.
No, this is the perfect tonic. It got me back into my rhythm. It got me swimming great. It was just it was executed at the right moment. Someone was looking over me again. It happened for a reason that I got in at 11. These jellyfish were there to greet me.
Yeah.
So it's when I look back at my channel swim, the most magnifying moment, the most special moment, and if I could go back to it again, would be swimming at 11 degrees with jellyfish, with a light shining over me, and that's the most magical thing I can take away from my swim.
You know that's not normal, right?
It's not normal, yeah. Honest, it's like honestly,
I love that.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
It's like it
very
sparks me
like-
up now talking about it because
Really?
I wish I could capture that moment again.
Like life affirming.
Yeah.
I guess it is. I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very alive in this moment.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
and not only am I
seen.
alive, I'm thriving.
Yeah.
I'm thriving and I'm enjoying it.
I'm joking for effect, mate.
Yeah.
That's special. That's what a wonderful thing to be able to say. Like, because again, not many people will have experienced that. Not many people want to experience.
And I feel very privileged and lucky for being there to experience that.
It's kind of that like, I guess, you know, man and nature, you know, kind of coexisting.
I mean, I've since got stung by other jellyfish, so I don't quite like as much. But like the English Channel ones are quite tame. So
all right.
Yeah.
Hey, so
so
talk to me about the rest of it.
Yeah, so the rest of it. So we're going to cross with it's starting to get lighter as we get towards shore, and I end up having to do the last 50 minutes of swim again.
Right. Okay. So you finished each.
So I did the start. I did the getting to France bit, and now I have to like reach shore and fight against.
And
the
you can't
currents
plan
again.
this. This is just the way it happens, right?
Yeah, you can't plan it. No, it's just down to the timings.
And how much drift is there?
I don't know. You've got neap tides and spring tides. On the spring tides, you've got a larger volume of water pushing up and down the channel, so a bigger volume going faster up and down the channel. Right. On the neap tide, which we swam on, less volume of water in the water, so you get less of an S shape.
Right.
Okay. So you get less pushed up. Right. So I remember finishing it, giving it my all, and it was just like really grinded it out, but. I was flying. That last in my head, no matter how tired I was, that last 50 minutes, I felt that final surge that I'm going to make it. We're going to do it, and it just fires you up, and nothing's going to stop you. So it's like
the return was 12 hours 8 between the two of you. So
we slowed down. I said we got fatigue, slowed down, but some of that could have been down to the tides. And
you were in there for 5 hours heading out, 6 hours heading back each.
Yeah.
What does it do for you and Mark, your relationship, to effectively be tagging each other in at each time? Like, you know, is that like that's a bond that surely not
it's
many
a bond.
people have.
I'm looking at it. I was looking at Mark in the water, thinking he's slowing down. You better not give up. It's like, Mark's a funny one because like Donald was telling me when he was having his like sort of like breakfast meal, he was very particular. Like he would go down and there'd be like a bit of a Mars bar left, and no, I'm not having that. Give me a new one. He's very like with his food, a bit funny.
Again, it's control, isn't it? I
guess
You know, you're in an environment where control is everything, and as you said, you know, if you can leave it so that weather is the only uncontrollable variable.
The other funny thing about my swim, so support me that time was Donald McDonald and my son Ellis. Yeah. They're on to support me, and I would like to have shared loads of the videos, but all it was my son was completely swearing through every video. I thought, I can't use that one. And then but Donald had a trick up his sleeve, so he did make me laugh, but he annoyed me so much. I was coming out of my swimming. They were more centred on doing their theatricals than actually looking after me and feeding me, which annoyed me. And they said that's part of their tactic.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, Donald, when I came out of my first swim, and he was dressed as an admiral. He had the white hat on and the suit, and then all these props. So he'd be dangling a stick over water with a piece of string. Oh, catch of the day! I've got catch of the day, and he'd put out like a packet of fish fingers and like. Just nuts, mate. But it's it kept me entertained.
Going, man. That's wonderful.
But,
with your support, you need the basics, but I guess that kind of helping you out with how you're feeling, mental state is massively important too.
Yeah.
So,
but no, he annoyed me as much as anything. But I think that in itself kept me focused on something else.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So then we finished and we got off the boat, and I'd never had sea legs before. I didn't realise you could get sea legs from doing half the swimming, half on board, but can hardly really? Stand up. Yeah. So and then we went for the biggest breakfast ever. So
Did you feel like you'd done it then? All those rugby
mates,
all those people that were saying, "Oh, you've only done half of it."
When I did that, I talked about the weight of my childhood, about feeling the guilt. Of not continuing my swimming. Yeah. It was like everything's happened for a reason. Mm-hmm. I'm here. This is now it lifted me. It lifted that weight off me. I felt if Henry was alive, he would have been like so proud of me for achieving what I achieved, and to know that all the sacrifices he made wasn't for nothing.
Because you became the first two-man team.
First two-man team in history to swim
crossing.
France back under the Channel Swimming Association rules. Yeah, so.
And that's a Guinness World Record. I saw it on.
Yeah, it was the inaugural first man two-way set, so they can never take that away. Someone can beat the time, but they can never take away, you know, that you were the first two-man two-way. I know people who swam it there and back, and you know, Sarah, what's her name? Thomas. It's Sarah Thomas. She's done four ways, which just blows your mind. Okay. Solo.
But I mean, human beings are incredible.
But for me, being a mere mortal, two ways was you know, coming from off my armchair, feeling sorry for myself, and watching all these other guys do it. It was an achievement.
There we go. So what you've done there is you've completely changed who you were to who you are. Looking
back at my photos and you know, my body and how I've transformed mentally, and you know, all the skills I've honed in on.
So I mean, what a wonderful thing to say that it felt like you hadn't lived up to your potential, and in that moment you felt like you did. Yeah,
it's like a cloud lifting.
Do you still feel like that now?
Things weigh you back down again.
They do.
You know, but yeah, thinking about it now.
As you say, nobody can take that away from you, man.
No, think about it now, because I don't often think about it, I've done this, I'm great. And, you know, it's, but thinking about it now, I feel like I've achieved still, So.
Well, it's a bloody enormous achievement, mate. It's something you know, incredibly special. And talking of something incredibly special, it wasn't long until you were in Russia.
Yeah, so the Russia journey. So I wasn't initially on the GB team. Well, I got asked to initially to go on the GBI swimming team to swim the 1K in Myatt in Russia, and I sort of hung about and turned it down because my wife said, "You've just swam the channel, and we just had a baby." And now you're going to selfishly go to Russia and do this.
That was going to be my question, if you don't mind the diversion, at a later point, but now you've said that, it feels like a good point to say it.
Yeah.
Every sportsman recognises, and everybody that you know does this kind of thing recognises it is entirely selfish.
You got to be selfish. You have to be thoroughly.
How is that impacting your family, your relationships?
Massively. It's something that Becky can't change in me. It's something that she's having to accept, and it causes a rift all the time.
Yeah.
And coupled with that, I suffer from anxiety and depression, and swimming is the only thing that keeps me afloat. It keeps me stable. Literally keeps me afloat. I've tried antidepressants and all those sorts of things, and been suicidal. I don't want to go into that into too much detail, but so it's but swimming it's my medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no taking that away from me. I won't allow anyone to take that away from me, and it's even got to the stage where it affects me going away with family sometimes, because I feel like I'm going to be away from my safety blanket, being able to go to the swimming pool, and within a couple of days I just implode. So I've recognised that, and you know, I do go away occasionally with family now, but always make sure there's time to go swimming, just to get out there and get those endorphins going, and try and keep that, you know, serotonin balance is so important.
I mean, they do say, you know, for the benefits that exercise gives us, if you could bottle it and sell it as medication, you'd make a fortune. Yeah. And it's the one thing that I've touched on it. I mentioned it to you earlier on. You know, when my brother took his own life. Yeah. Self-care goes out the window.
Sorry, mate.
You just think, oh, give a shit about myself. Like, you know, and you know, it all falls away from you, and training and eating and drinking and all these things that, you know, it becomes the thing that, you know, you just don't care about yourself.
I don't believe in antidepressants, for me anyway. Right. The ones I've tried make me feel a shadow of who I am, so I can't be myself.
Interesting.
And the other one, venlafaxine, that sent me completely over the edge. I'm the sort of person that gets those thoughts in my head all the time. I don't want those thoughts to be there. It enters my head without me making the decision for it.
I remember once being
know,
told, you're not your thoughts. We all have a million thoughts every day. Some
Yeah.
are, like you're not your thoughts. You're not the sum even of all your thoughts. You're the sum of your actions.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, so an important thing to remember is, even though, there's interruptive thoughts that you can get sometimes where you're walking down the street and you think, what if I push that person over? And it's not, that's not a valid nor obviously nice thought, but it's just, that's not you. That's your brain just going, that's an option. That's an option. That's a variable.
I feel ashamed.
You shouldn't.
Of the way I think like that, and
So statistically, I don't know if you've ever heard of adverse childhood experiences.
No.
Okay, adverse childhood experiences are things like, are your parents still together? Yes, no.
Yeah.
Was there violence in your house? Yes, no. Was there addiction in your household? Yes, no. There are 10 of
them.
Oh,
no. Right? They're called ACEs.
So adverse childhood experiences.
I scored
so
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I've been through that process.
I'm very similar.
Yeah.
So if you score 4 out of 10,
yeah,
I might get the statistics wrong, but you are exponentially more likely to take your own life.
Yeah.
So the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences.
Yeah.
You're exponentially more likely to take your own life, more likely to go to prison, more likely to, all these negative, to be addicted to drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
We grew up in a way that made it almost statistically likely, not almost, statistically likely that somebody in my family and or more, and again, I've experienced this with my uncle and since, will take their own life. So for you need to recognise that you having those moments and thinking like that isn't you because you're broken in some way. It's the experiences you've had that led you to that.
Yeah.
Like, we are, we can't change our past and what's happened to us and around us, right? But all you can do is change your future.
So before we go on to the World Ice Swimming Championships, I just want to touch on that. So I went through, after being recognised with 9 out of 10 ACEs, I went through EMDR. I don't even know what that stands for, but it's this sort of light desensitization, where you go with a therapist and they talk to you about your childhood. It asks you questions, you give them all the answers to start with, and they build on that, and you go into a conversation about your childhood and things that affected you. And I found that I was going down a complete rabbit hole at the stuff like that, never come up before. And what you do is stand in front of this light with a strobe on. He'll say, when you talk about things, they say, just hold that thought. So I hold that thought, and then what's happening is the light's going along, and you're processing that like you're REMing in your sleep. So when we process our thoughts when we're asleep, we go into a deep REM, so everything gets embedded, and we deal with all our the things that happen in a day in our minds, and it just resets the landscape. So I went through EMDR, and from at the end of every session, the questions he asked me at the beginning that triggered all those responses. He'd asked me the question, but nothing triggered it off. So the horrible things that my dad did to me, I didn't feel the pain anymore. I didn't feel the connection with it anymore. The light had helped me process those thoughts.
Interesting.
So that really helped. But
quite a controversial treatment, isn't it? Because for some people it has a negative impact.
So that
as I understand it.
So that was one. I just dealt with one part of my life, and then my wife thought by me dealing with that, it was going to change me and get rid of my depression, but it didn't fix it. It fixed that part of my life. That's all like sewn up, done and dusted. It's like I can put that to bed now. But I'm still dealing with these thoughts that I don't know where they come from. But I know I know a way of coping with it.
And it's exercise.
Yeah.
Because again, if you could prescribe it as a medication, it'd be life-saving. And it is life-saving indeed.
Yeah.
You just finished the Channel swim, and you're only a few months really away from then heading over to Russia.
Yeah, heading over to Russia. So, yeah, as I might have mentioned before, I wasn't originally part of the GB team because my wife turned around to me and said, "You've just had a holiday, basically." She classed it as a holiday. So it's like, you've been away for 2 weeks with Mark, you've been on a holiday. I've been doing this training, and so you've just on the channel, you've had a holiday. She said, no, you're not doing it. And then as a week went past, a few days a week went past, I remember I was thinking, I can't be any readier for this now than I am now. I've just done years and years of channel training, so I'm the fittest distance-wise I'll ever be. I'm also the most cold acclimatized I'll ever be. And if I leave this now, I might never come back to it. And it just weighed on me so much, I said, I'm doing it. And so I contacted Kate Steels from the channel, from the GB ISA. So I contacted Kate Steels from the GB team and said that I wanted in again. And lucky enough, a few more places come up. But we ended up, instead of getting all the kit that was provided, we had to pay for our own kit. Right. So I ended up paying for my own kit. And then I had to start then training for this grueling event, knowing the water was potentially going to be 0 degrees, something I never really touched on. I've done ice swimming, been down to sort of maybe 1-2 degrees, but for short durations, but not racing in that temperature. I had to then start really focusing on how I'm going to train for this. And then as we were preparing, the lakes went up to a really warm 7 degrees, Rich, which wasn't going to get me to Russia. No. It wasn't going to do me any favours. So then I started looking into ice baths, and you didn't hear of ice baths. No one heard of Wim Hof.
Not 5 years ago, not 6. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we just touched on it. We heard about this guy called Wim Hof, and when me and Donald were training for Ice Mile. And we used to call him Wim Hof. I called him Wim Hof because he had to do all this breathing before he got in the cold. Well, we just got straight in the cold. So he was a Wim Hof. So I ended up looking for ice baths. And I run Gloucester Rugby Club. I run other places. Gloucester Rugby Club had what they terms the ice bath. I went, how cold's the water? 9 degrees. That's not cold enough. Right. So I had to then start trying to think outside the box. And nowadays, if you want to go and get an ice bath, there's millions of them online, isn't there? If I'd have coined the market then, with Ice Mindset or something, I could have really gone into ice baths, and someone did tell me to go down that route. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so I was looking around, and then I spoke to Nick Brook from the Bell Hotel in Gloucester, and he said, John, he said, I've got a decommissioned freezer, upright freezer at the back of the pub. You're welcome to that. So anyway, I went to the back of the pub. You go down these iron steps, and you're right by the bins. It's the most filthiest, dirtiest place, pitch black in the middle of nowhere. And I decided that this was going to be it. It's my opportunity. So I've got an ice machine. Great. So I opened up the fridge. The door was hanging off, put it to the side, and proceeded with ripping all the gubbins out, all the electrics. It was never going to be plugged in again. And then just got a big black sheet and lined it with a sheet, and then filled it up with water and got some ice from the Bell. But there wasn't enough ice. And lucky enough, down below the Bell was Costa Coffee. And they had an ice machine with a huge reservoir of ice. And they said, you can just use as much as you want. Wow. So we were up there like Santa with dustbin bags full of ice, filling this ice bath up, and we get it down to 0. And it was a really good setup, because the actual, if you manage to place the door back on top, you come back 1 or 2 days later, it'd still be like 2 degrees, so you don't have to top it up a little bit.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's got down to 0, and I remember being there on the Sunday night.
It's probably like Rocky, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
No, it was, mate. I'll tell you. I was there on the Sunday night by myself. I've got it filmed somewhere, so if you want the clip, I'll send it to you. I remember it being pitch black, cathedral bells are ringing, in the middle of Gloucester. I'm there at the back by all these filthy bins, and I'm there getting in this ice, and it's hurting. Everything's going red. I'm not acclimatized to these sort of temperatures. And I do 10 minutes, which was really good because it was painful. Get quickly changed and go around my mum's around the corner for a cup of tea. Then I started dragging other people there, like Donald and a few others. And the funny thing was with Donald, the freezer was big enough to get 2 of us in. And we'd invariably get in with bobble hats on. So I used to call it a bobble off. So it'd be like the OK Corral. You'd be there and you'd be staring each other out, and Donald would never budge. He'd always push me to my limits, and he wouldn't get out until I got out. I'd give him before him. So yeah, but we got up to about 20 minutes, 23 minutes at zero. And I've since done more than that, so I beat Donald's record.
What's the most you've done?
I think I did 30 minutes at zero.
Jesus.
I've done 50 minutes at 3 degrees sat in the barrel. 3 degrees was quite interesting. Sat at 3 degrees. When I got out, I had no dexterity left. I couldn't even move my fingers. They were like moving like this. And it took me, I was doing some Wim Hof horse dance where you move around and get the breathing going. After 20 minutes of that, when I had a warm shower, I come down from a warm shower and I continue shaking. So it's like crazy stuff. Anyway, yeah, so there weren't many ice barrels around, but I was fortunate enough to meet Nick, and that sort of set the tone really. I got the training in with the ice barrel. Then it came time to go to Russia, to go to war.
And that was when was that? That was
2000.
Yeah.
So 2019.
2019.
Yes. Yeah. So I go off to Russia with John Coe. I want to mention John Coe because it's the guy who's my mentor.
He's a 60-year-old that you met.
60-year-old, yeah. He's 71 now. Unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, John was at a master session, and he had a stroke, and the blood clot went and cut the left side of his brain off. So he's now in hospital, can't talk, can move his eyes, and he can move his left hand a bit. But every time you go and see him, he's like, he just gets frustrated. I think it's frustration where he's like almost crying and just, yeah. So it's hard.
Really sorry.
So no, it's just unfortunate, one of those things, and it's life. But I've been to see him a few times. I will go and see him again because he did so much for me, as you're going to find out. So when we went to Russia, me and John flew on the plane together, my ice mentor, and we shared a room together. I used to annoy the shit out of him because I'd be on my phone all the time. He said, that thing's attached to your arm. It's like, just like, I suppose the older generation sort of things wind him up. And we do have a bit of banter, but he was my, what they call second. So he's the person who's going to take me out and lead me out to my 1,000 meters, take my cloak off me, make sure I'm okay, and be there to watch me when I come out, and then take me to the recovery room. So, and that was the same for him. So, anyway, just before, a day before the race in Russia, I say a couple of days before, we start doing a few ice dips. So the actual pool is cut out of a lake in Russia. I forget the name of the lake, but you've got all the timing systems in there. But you've got like a wooden ladder with a board to the side of it, and proper lane ropes. Like I said, all the different timing systems. And then just not far from the lake, you've got a thing called a walrus hole. These are quite popular in Russia. A walrus hole. It's like they've got a small gym, but they've got this outside dipping hole. It's probably about twice the size of this room.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that was 0 degrees. So you would get in, and there'd be mounds of ice either side. So this is the first time I'd actually swam at 0 degrees. This is like before my event, a couple of days before, and you get in, and you're only in for like 4 or 5 minutes. And as I get out, my feet are sticking to the ice. It's that cold. It's like, almost taking the skin off my feet, trying to peel my feet back off. As you look back, when everyone's out of the walrus hole, you can see crystals forming. It's like -15 air temperature, and the crystals already start to form on the ice. And I'm going to be getting in that and swimming 1,000 meters. And that is just like, I've gone in after about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm shaking just doing that.
1,000 meters, so 1,000 meters.
So it's 40 lengths of a 25 meter pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because the in the World Championships, it's a 25 meter pool. Mm-hmm. It's a short course event. So, and then you get to meet some of the characters. From different countries. I got on well from Jer Kennedy from the Irish team, and after the event we went out and had some celebratory drinks and stuff like that, and I met a good friend of mine now called Lars Mack, and he made me laugh at the time because he goes, you're from Team Brexit. So it's like, so just you know, a good joke amongst countries. But yeah, so anyway, so I met another guy over there, George Gregrescu, who now heads the Romanian team, and he had a guy working with him who was a Wim Hof instructor.
Right.
So George was having all this sort of breathing, doing all this sort of breathing, and I remember going up to this guy and saying, would breathing help me out? Would you know? Can I do some breathing? I'm willing to try anything at this stage. You know, I'm going to be swimming in 0 degree water. So really anything that's going to take the pain away or help me get through it or make me faster.
It's margins at that point, isn't it?
I got to try.
Yeah.
So anyway, he took me away. He showed me some breathing techniques. He showed me some inner fire stuff, and I ended up 2 hours before my event. I was in the change rooms. They must have thought I was weird. I was led down. I was doing. I did 4 rounds of 70 breaths with retentions. And then, but I think I just before we were at the event, we went out and I was sat there with John before we got marched out to the event. And I think, you know, looking back at the videos, I was probably the most calmest I've ever been. Bearing in mind, I'm going to be exposing myself to something pretty brutal. You know,
for a very prolonged period
and at
of
high
time.
stakes, really, because you know you want to achieve.
And you're representing Great Britain.
Great Britain, yeah, and everyone's watching.
Did you feel
It's
the
like-
weight of that? Did you feel like, oh my God, I'm actually representing, you know, my nation?
I didn't feel the weight of representing Great Britain. I always felt the weight of like not wanting to come last in my age group or not medal. For me, medaling was important. On paper, I was probably 5th or 6th time wise.
Right.
So I knew there was a chance that I wasn't going to medal. So I was going to have to give it my all. But I also knew that, you know, not everyone swims at 0 degrees. So it's like, you know, it's almost like for some people it's a level playing field because even a lot of people who swam for Great Britain before hadn't been exposed to temperatures that low.
Right.
You're not going to get any lower than 0 really, unless you're swimming in the sea, which goes down to minus, is it 1.7 or something, salt water? Yeah, so you're really not going to, you know, 0 is about as cold as it gets. And, you know, yeah, so we're down there in get marched down in a procession down to the room where we all congregate and then, you know, have a debrief. And they say during the debrief that, you know, don't be unfair to competitors. When we say take your clothes off, you take your robe off and you stand there, you know, no messing around and then you get in. There's no delay getting in because as soon as you get in, they almost start the buzzer. So anyway, but I had that in mind and I thought, do you know what? I don't care. I got to the edge. And as soon as I got to the edge, before they say derobe or take your clothes off, I gave John I took it off. And there's these guys sat next to me with these, standing next to me, sorry, the ice rescuers, whatever you call them, safety team, with all these big hats on, massive gloves, and I'm just stood there in skins, and I'm just and I'm there looking around thinking, yeah,
you're ready.
I'm ready because now I've just done you mentally because I've just taken my robe off even before anyone says anything. So I'm showing you that I'm ready. That's what I thought in my head.
You're locked in.
So I locked in, and I remember getting in at 0. I never felt a thing.
Really?
I thought it was going to be freeze and take something away from me, but because of the adrenaline, I think I didn't feel the cold. So as I go off, I going off fast, and you can feel yourself like almost coming oxygen deprived. You're trying to slow it down a little bit, and because you're in a lake, I'm used to swimming in a pool. You've got lane ropes, but because you can't see down to the bottom, you can't see the line. I'm hitting the ropes, catching my hands,
Right,
and because they've got the ladders set either side with the touch pads either side, you're having to sort of go across the lane in a fashion to turn. So as I'm going along, I get to about 20 lengths in, and I choked on water a little bit, and it was a wake up call,
right?
Because one of the worst things that can happen to you is choking on water, then embarrassingly having to stop and then get out and you know feel like you've absolutely failed. And it's happened in training where I've choked on water, and it's because when you're in water that cold, your lips get so frozen, and I call it budgie tongue. I don't know what I call it budgie tongue for. It feels like you've got this little tongue because it's so frozen. But you can, when you're breathing, you can't differentiate between water and air. So you're going to breathe, and if you don't breathe high enough, you can easily breathe and suck water into your lungs. So I've done that before, and I choked a bit, and I was like, come on, come on, breathe higher. So I was just making sure I was consciously breathing higher every time. And I suppose with as it went on, I mean, I had the feeling of red hot pokers under my fingernails, the cold sensation in my hands that was painful, where you're having to switch off because it's so painful. If you think about it, you want to get out. As I'm going along, that doesn't just creep into my hands, but it creeps up into my wrist, then finally up to my elbows. And with about 10 lengths to go, I'm there just trying to swim by memory. I can't feel nothing. All I can, and I don't even know where I'm placing my hands. It's just all up there, clicked in. It's like hoping doing the right thing. And then it's like you feel like time's slowing down, because the water then starts to feel like treacle, because you're losing all your dexterity, all your body's starting to slow down. Everything feels in slow motion like treacle, and it's like something you want to claw your way out of. You want to be out of there, but it doesn't come soon enough. So when you actually get to the end, it's a relief. So I was touched aside, and John's going, "Well done, John," and I'm like, I'm looking up, sort of like smiling relieved, not realising I'm absolutely freezing my ass off. And he's like, "Come on, get out, John!" So I can get out.
Yeah, get out now.
And then he puts my robe over me, and I managed to get my feet into some Crocs. And then as we walk up back to the main leisure centre, uphill.
How far are we talking?
Probably 150 metres or something.
That would have felt like...
Yeah, and you're going through cold air.
Miles.
But the pain in my hands was nothing like I've ever experienced.
Out of 10?
More than 10 out of 10.
Right.
As a kid playing in the snow, you'd be out for hours.
Yeah.
And you used to play with snow, and you come back in, and we used to have those 5-bar fires. And you remember, if you put your fingers in front of a fire after they've been out after they've frozen, the pain was it was worse than that.
Right.
So as I'm going up, everyone's screaming, clapping, "Well done, John!" And but I didn't know whether to scream or cry. I just couldn't. All in the same emotion, I wanted to scream and cry at the same time.
How many people are watching, out of interest?
Watching the event? Or?
Yeah, watching the event.
Just mainly, yes, a few spectators, but mainly the swimmers from the other countries.
Yeah.
And whoever's come along with them. So yeah, then
Because most people aren't crazy enough to stand out in that, let alone swim in that.
No. But then there's two sides to ice swimming, and it's never over until after the recovery. And the recovery is such a big part of the swim. So you've battled your way now through 1,000 meters. You swam as fast as you can. You've lost all your dexterity. You've got all this pain. Your body is now, in the stages of hypothermia, and now you've got to reverse it.
Your body's self-preservation, right? It's like, holy shit, you're trying to kill me.
Yeah. So
what is he doing?
Yeah. So anyway, as we get to the leisure centre, it was really nice that people were lining up. They were clapping you inside. It sort of like put a bit of even though I'm feeling all this pain, I feel a bit of a smile on my face where I know I've achieved something. And then you go into at the lake where I swim at. My recovery process is normally get my own clothes on and shake it out. Fine, that's good. That's great when you're doing 20 minutes at 5 degrees or 7 degrees or something like that. But not when you're swimming at 0 degrees minus 15 air temperature. So the Russians have got a really great way of recovering, a great recovery method that I'd never experienced. So anyway, as I go into the change rooms, I've got a pain in my chest, a real bad pain in my chest. I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack, but what's really happened, I think, is like, I'm that cold, something's gone to spasm. So they got the doctor in, I was fine. And I've got a pair of racing shorts on, FINA approved racing shorts. They're like a baby's arm. They take about 20 minutes to put on. So, and then because I'm in such a state, there was all these like Russian women dressed in costumes and stuff, swimming costumes, because we're in a warm room now, and they just ripped my trunks off me without a second thought. and I know that thing is about that big. So it's like, and I'm so, even though I'm completely out of it, I know I have to go and cover up. It's like, this is embarrassing. Even at your darkest moment, you're embarrassed. It's like, so then what they do then, they sit you down in a chair. They sit you down in a chair and they put your feet in a bucket of water, which I didn't know at that time what it was for. So sat down in this chair and then they start to put towels around me. So they've got during the recovery, they've got 3 buckets. They've got like a tepid water, a warm water, and a warmer water. So they're taking the towels out of these buckets and they've got thermometers in to measure the temperature. What they don't want to do is release the cold blood from your core straight away to your periphery. Right. Because the cold will then go back in, recirculate, and give you maybe heart problems. Yeah, okay. So it's that serious. So they start off with a very tepid water. I don't know if that's the right term. And then they go to the next level, a bit warmer. So they're rewrapping you all the time. And I look down, and from my knees to my toes, my legs completely black blue, where the blood is frozen and the peripheries or whatever it is. There's a name for it, but
extremities.
Yeah, well, no, not that one. There's a name for the actual condition, and but the doctor said, "Don't worry, I've seen this in a couple of people." But I still thought my legs were going to be chopped off at that point. Yeah, right. So
had you found out how you done in the race yet?
No.
So at this point, you don't know if this is worthy.
No. So I'm sat down in a recovery room, and then my feet are starting to get cold. My feet are getting cold, and what they've done, they stuck my feet in cold water. I thought, that's a bit stupid, feet in cold water, trying to recover from the cold, but because they've obviously my body started rewarming, it's now signaling to me that the water's cold because my body's starting to rewarm. Right. So they said, "Oh, great. Next stage, you're into the sauna." So I go into the sauna with my towels. Now they're pouring warmer water over me. Yeah. I'm sat in there with a few more swimmers. We're drinking warm drinks. Yeah. And within, another 10 minutes, like almost fully recovered. Right. So that recovery, I reckon that recovery would have taken me over an hour easily. Just from that 15 minutes, 23 seconds I did the swimming. So that would have taken me an hour easily. But I reckon within about 20, 25 minutes, less than half the time, I'm recovered. Yeah. So now I'm off up the stairs to the room where we all go and congregate. They've got a screen up there. I can't remember what heat I was. I can't remember if I was heat or 7 or 8 or whatever. So, but I know that Henry Karma is in my age group. I was there to watch him swim the last heat 10, and he's one of the guys that I absolutely idolise. So he's one of my idols, because I've watched them do all these distance events where they swam for as long as they could to almost the death. And so he's like one of these, and he's a quick swimmer as well. I really, he's probably on paper the fastest, easily a minute and a half faster than me on paper. So I'm watching the event, and then I look at the finish times on the clocks, and I was like, hold on, my time was faster than that. And I thought that to start with, they've got something wrong. No, the times are right. And then I started clocking back through all the events, and then it suddenly dawned on me that potentially I've got gold. So it was just a weird sort of sensation. But it wasn't. I wasn't officially told until probably about half an hour before the ceremony that I'd officially got gold. So I don't know why that was. So it was quite a nice feeling.
Waiting for all of the heats to finish, and then all the officiation to happen to make sure they're happy with the results.
The results,
and all that. But wow.
So I go in, and I go in. I step on the podium, stepping up in first spot. Yeah. Henry Karma in second, and one of the moments for me is like what you do is like you then you hold up your Great British flag, but then you invite the others to come up to your level, and like I'm inviting Henry Karma, that she's on a level above me, up to my level. I'm the champion, which felt really great. It was just such a nice feeling that I didn't want to beat my idol, or didn't want to, but I thought, well, it's a level playing field. We've come here, we've all faced the same conditions, and I've proven that I've put the necessary training in, and I come out triumphant because of my mindset, my conditioning, and what I put myself through. So, you know, I'm not going to take a backward step from that because, yeah.
And again, in that moment, did it take you to that place where you were 17 and felt like you hadn't achieved what you
Yeah,
achieved?
This was a higher level.
Really?
So where I did the two-way channel swim, this was a higher level of achievement in my mind, and this surpassed everything else. And this just made me feel, euphoric. It was just, yeah. So now I was world champion. I wasn't just a two-way Guinness World Record holder. I would not say just, but now I'm, who could I ever have thought when I was 39 sitting on my chair feeling sorry for myself? Now I'm world champion. Yeah. So yeah. So it was a great feeling. After the two-way channel swim, we then got invited down to Dover to go to the channel swimming dinner, where you pick up your award. And if you can remember, when I talked about the Guildford to Swim for Life, there was a woman called Kate Vines, planted a seed. Okay, Robson Green, Lewis Pugh planted a seed. Not so much David Williams, but so I'm there at the channel swimming dinner, and we get the special award. So this is like an award for something that's outside of the ordinary sort of relays and one-way channel swims or two-way channel swims. Because we were the inaugural first two-man two-way, we get this what's called the special award. Same year, Lewis Pugh swims part of the length of the channel, and so he gets a special award. So we're on stage now to share the award with us and Lewis Pugh. So I'm standing next to Lewis Pugh, who I was watching on TV, thinking I couldn't do that ice, and now I've not only signed the channel, but I'm a world ice swimming champion as well, and I'm holding the trophy. I'm looking at it. I think it says 2011 on there. Kate Vines, channeling positivity. She got the special award in 2011, and here I am years later after planting a seed in my head at Guildford, and I'm there picking up an award for the first two-man two-way. She did a one-way, we did the two-man two-way, and I'm there with Lewis as well. How could you?
It's amazing, mate.
Yeah, it's just it makes everything. I know everything happens for a reason, but there's so many connections, and I went to have a chat with Lewis actually whilst I was there.
Was that?
I was kind of a bit starstruck. I think I had a few beers on board and bombarded his ear a bit, and then let's get together for an ice swim. And I don't think he took me seriously because at that point I hadn't done the ice swimming. So
Have you done it since?
Done what since?
Have you been swimming with Lewis since?
No, I haven't. No. A few of the swimmers that I swim with have been out with Lewis and helped him train. Yeah. So yeah, Joe Kennedy. Maybe one day, we'll see.
So where do you go from there? You're a world champion.
Yeah.
You've done, you're Guinness World Record holder.
So you just go off
Where
a precipice.
do you go?
You go off a cliff. Every time you do one of these events, especially with me and my depression and anxiety, you just fall off a cliff. I've tried to make every swim about making the most out of meeting the people, the places I go to, and the training I do, and not taking that for granted. Because once you reach the end, there is nothing. You might be holding a shiny medal, but the journey's over. There's nothing, and that's when you hit that rock bottom.
How do you return to everyday life once you've done that? You
just have to make small goals again. If you don't, for me, if I don't make small goals straight away, have a small target, an event or something, it spirals into depression. That's why I've always got a focus on doing something else. So yeah.
So, what is that something else now? What are you doing?
I'm swimming. Well, hopefully, because this will be the second year. Rolling into the second year, it hasn't happened. Hopefully swimming the Bristol Channel with a 5-man team to become the first, it will be the first winter relay in the Bristol Channel. So in January 2024, I swam the English Channel with a 5-man team, and we became the first team in history to do a winter relay, and it was, without a shadow of a doubt, the coldest and earliest crossing in
Believed to be
Channel
the
history.
coldest ever conditions for a channel relay: water 7 to 9, air 1 to 3.
Yeah.
Is that right?
When I got in, it was definitely 7. When I swam, it was definitely 1 degree air temperature.
And you were raising money for Power of One UK.
Yeah,
Is that right?
that's right. Yeah, it was a charity chosen by. Yeah. So we started off with a women's and a men's team, and I had to train for almost 2 years for the event. Right. So 2000 and I'm going to get the years wrong.
21? Are you talking about the 3 peaks?
No, I'm not talking about 3 lakes. I'm talking about the channel swim, the English Channel Winter Relay.
Yep.
So
that was 24, yeah.
Yeah, so 2023 we start our training, and it's not hard. It's not easy training for a swim where you know you're going to be swimming for 3 hours in brutally cold water. It's very different to swimming, for 15, 20 minutes in the ice.
So you did 3 hour stints, did you?
Three 1 hour stints, yeah.
So you did, basically it was you do your 3 hours and you're done.
No, it falls like on my, I did the 2-way channel relay where someone starts and someone finishes.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I was the 5th person, so I could have ended up doing a lot less than someone else.
Right.
I wouldn't have, they could have done 3 swims in each and I would have done 2. But as it petered out, I almost completed the third
it was
hour.
14:45, so
it
was near as down.
Yeah, by the time I jumped back in on the boat as well, because it touched, you have to get back in the boat and then get back to the ship. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so training for this type of event is very, in a way, is a lot different to training for a speed event in the ice. So you're having to push your mind and body to another level where you're allowing the cold to get in a lot deeper. It's 7 degrees. An hour is pretty brutal. It gets the cold gets in so deep. It takes a long time to recover from that. A couple of hours easy, really, every time. And for me, it was particularly hard for me because I didn't have all the fat that I had when I did my World Championship swimming at Manx. I'd lost a lot of weight because I suffer a bit from body dysmorphia. I'd never been happy with my body. I managed to get to a state where I was like almost seeing abs and stuff, which isn't conducive for like cold water swimming. Yeah. And then it was just a constant battle then to try and put weight on for the event. So anyway, during training, I had to do a qualifier. So I had to go to a place called 40 Foot in Ireland, a famous point where you get a lot of cold water swimmers swim. Yeah, so Jerk Ennis is there. So he's the Irish swim captain. He's a great ambassador for ice swimming. He's on the team. And I'm there with Caroline Saxon, who's on the women's team, and Sam Farrow, and Nicola Doran. And Jer doesn't tell us before we get in what the temperature of the water is. But by the time I get out, because I had flu as well coming across on the plane, it's my last chance to qualify. By the time I got out of that swim, I sure as hell knew it was colder than 7 or 8. And I wasn't getting back in. There was no way I was getting back in that water. And then we had to mimic the conditions on the boat for recovery. So because we were like on the boat, it's a confined space. We have to do like calisthenics where you're just basically doing squats up and down, hands coming up and down to get all the big muscles pumping. Then you're sitting down in the squat position, pulsing, and you're doing a recovery. So I'm outdoors doing this. And then, in 2 hours' time, because I'll be doing 4 hours on the boat, so, in training, you always want to try and do better in training than you would do on the swim. So, So anyway, I find out the water's 6.7 degrees. I'm suffering and I don't want to get back in. Yeah. Mentally, I've had it because I'm ill. And when you're ill, the cold gets into you deeper. You feel a lot more. It's just horrible. And then... Caroline was pretty adamant she was getting in, and Sam, and they said, "Come on, give it a go." And I was like, "No, I'm not getting in." And then as they started to head off, I thought, "Nah, I'm gonna have to do it. This is my only chance." So I just followed them like a lemon and just plopped in the water, and I start swimming up and down, and it's horrendous. You've got like the wind's like you got a howling wind, but it's generated all this like fine sea spray. So every time you go to breathe, you get like this fine mist in your mouth, and it's almost suffocating. So not only are you freezing cold, you got this suffocating mist. And I was swimming up and down, and Caroline and Sam were doing breaststroke. I was like, "What are you doing breaststroke for?" I thought, like, surely swimming slower it's going to make you colder. They said, no, we're swimming breaststroke because every time we take our arms out, it's cooling us down. So it's like, but they're going slower. So I tried the breaststroke, and I start freezing, so I go back to front crawl. Yeah. So make it out on that hour, and then just do the third hour. It was tough. Got into the third hour, So. And then I remember recovering and then going to a pub in Ireland, and Jer's bringing over the Guinness, and we're watching a World Cup match, and as he hands the Guinness, my hand's still shaking from the cold. So I managed to do that, and then that was the training done for that year. And then you're reliant on the weather for your start, If the weather window doesn't appear, you're not going to be able to do your swim. And so that year, there wasn't one day where it was swimmable. So then you go into the next year, and the next year you're not full of so much enthusiasm. You've almost got this false sense of security that I've already done the qualifier, but that qualifier was a year ago. So, you start to lose your acclimatisation and conditioning, and you still have to put your body through the same conditioning you did that year previous over 4 months to get where you are ready to start again. And, some of that training slipped away. I didn't dedicate myself as much. And then you're left with days to go before, weeks to go before the swim, and you feel like you're not ready. And I remember telling you about the time where it got to Christmas Eve, and I was being brutal with myself. I was like, "You're not good enough. You haven't done enough to do this swim." And I get home from the forest where I was at my brother-in-law's, and said to my wife, "I'm gonna go to tidal pool in Cleveland. I need to swim." She said, "You're mental." I told my friend Jenny and Colin. They said, we'll come. And I said, "No, I'll be fine." They said, "You're mental. Don't do it. You can't do this by yourself." And I drove off down the motorway. Felt like something I needed to do, but on the way, the wind was howling, it was raining, and I started bawling up. I was emotional, tears. This voice inside me was telling me that I'm weak, I can't do this. I was feeling the cold in my body. I was feeling the negativity in my mind. But I got to Cleveland, and I think I sat in the car for a little bit thinking, do I get in or just do I drive back home? And then I had another surge of me wanting to do it, to prove that, not just to prove that I could do it, but to make sure that I was conditioned. So as I'm going up to the Salt House, is the pub by the tidal pool, it's Christmas Eve, everybody's partying, music blaring, and it's just the wind's howling and it's raining. And then, the wind's howling, and I have to get into the cold all by myself, no support, my own fault. I should have had support there, and maybe stupidly I shouldn't have swam that night, but it was something I had to do, something I had to fight, something I had to see through. And I got in, and for the first time I felt vulnerable. I was swimming down the lake, which is 200 metres long, and I got into the middle, and I just felt the cold getting so deep, and I just thought, there's no one here. If anything happens, if I go under, if I choke, what's going to happen? Yeah, and then I decided to go to the shallow side of the lake where you can stand up. At least I know if something happened, I could stand up and get myself out. And I probably did 50 minutes of the hour. I said I was going to do an hour, but honestly, when you're by yourself in those conditions and, you're teetering on the edge, 50 minutes was enough. And then, I got out, got myself changed, and I wasn't feeling great. I didn't feel like I achieved anything. I still felt that I hadn't done enough. I felt like I was a failure still, even at that point. Even going and doing 50 minutes, because I hadn't done the hour, I felt there was a chink of weakness in my armour.
Right.
And I went home that night, got home about 2, Christmas Day the next day, and I was asleep on the sofa, couldn't even open my eyes. The kids were opening their Christmas presents, and I couldn't even be part of it with them. So that's a sort of like, it's the silly things I do, the way I push myself sometimes to make sure I achieve things. So, I never plan not to open Christmas presents with the kids, but it's just sometimes you push yourself out and you make these sacrifices.
What is your reward for this? Like, because it's like people mountain climbing, right? It's like people doing crazy things. Like, the other day I watched somebody ski down Everest, first person to ski from the summit. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. It was a Red Bull thing. So you see people do incredible things, push, what humans are capable of. And there's not a financial reward at the end of that. There's no big pot of gold at the end of that.
No, there isn't. No.
This is something presumably you're spending money to do.
Yeah.
Much of the time. Like, how do you stay motivated when there isn't that kind of extrinsic reward?
It's because it's being recognised as the I won't get this opportunity past, come again. So you have to take the bull by the horns when it's there. And for me, it was being part of that team, being part of that inaugural team, of that event, of that particular challenge, which was like, the pinnacle of like cold water swimming across the channel, that you'll never get an opportunity to do again. Yeah. Once that time's passed or someone takes your place, you're never going to be part of that team. You're never going to be part of history. You'll never ever be able to be right.
So is legacy massive to you?
It's legacy, yeah. Yeah, it's legacy.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know. I just... it's like... It's funny because when you do these things, it's almost like they don't hold the same weight as they did before, where you work towards it and you feel like you've achieved. And then it's always the next thing. So it's like... I don't know. I suppose it is a bit of legacy. Yeah. And what will that mean for me in the future? I don't know.
What do you want it to mean?
I think I want to look back and go through all the videos and have time to go through the videos and recollect on all the feelings and emotions and look at the memories and hold a sense of like, I did great.
Pride that you did that.
Yeah, I did great.
Is there anything else big? You're a Guinness World Record holder, world champion, won the world championship. Like, what else is there to achieve in this?
It's a Bristol channel, but the Bristol channel isn't as great as doing the English channel.
Right.
So that's a sort of like step down, really, or sideways movement.
So is it possible that you have achieved the peak
you
can in this discipline? And if so,
for me, the thing is, for me, I don't think I'll ever be world champion again. There are people entering World Ice Swimming has become more popular that are going to be way quicker than I ever was.
Okay. But maybe they can't get there without you. In the scheme of things, like
but I think
it's like Bannister doing, it's Rogers Bannister running the 4-minute mile, right?
Yeah.
It's nobody had done it, and then he did it, and then people did it because they proved that it can be done.
Yeah.
And that's the reality is people like you have to do these things then for people afterwards to come along and do them. So you got to think of it like that. You're part of the building blocks of a sport, of a discipline.
That's good. I always like helping other people out as well. There's a lot of people in the ice swimming community now.
That strikes me as most likely the thing that I can see you doing well because of your experiences, upbringing. So because of what this gives to people. Yeah. That training and development of others strikes me as something that might really float your boat. Yeah, no,
it does, and I find it really difficult to find a platform to be able to teach people swimming, especially adults and triathletes and people like that, or open water swimmers, because there's no real venues I can take them to, because the lakes that I go to, they seem to have their own people training people. They don't want someone like me. I've wanted to train people in the pool, triathletes, to come up to me, ask me to train them and condition them, and the pool won't let you teach unless you're part of the staff there. Right. So if you feel like you've got your arm chopped off, I guess your hands tied behind your back. So
we touched on Wim Hof earlier.
Yeah. Right. So stop this. I just want to say something. So so 2 years ago, I did pass my level 2 swim teaching. Right. And I now teach Swim by Design at Tommy Richards School. Right. Okay. Teaching kids from the age of 4 or 5 up to academy on the last hour. So, Yeah, so I do that every Sunday. I've been doing that every Sunday for the last 2 years, from sort of like 9 in the morning till 5. So I spend every Sunday teaching kids, and it's a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
It's completely different coming from the level I'm at.
Yeah.
The level I would talk to top, swimmers at my capability. You're now having to teach progressions, getting kids to do basic things like put their nose in or mouth in, breathing, and building it up from the base. And it's been really good to see the kids grow. And now 2 years on, some of the kids that started with me are now swimming, almost all 4 strokes.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice to think that I've helped them do that. So it's like
your kids good swimmers.
They go to the same school that I teach at, so they're being taught.
Do you teach them? Do you?
I don't teach them.
You
They won't listen to me.
Yeah.
So it's
Would you like them to do what you do? Would you like them to go down the open water and ice swimming?
I just like them to be happy and in whatever their sport they do. I can sense that one of my kids might be better than the other one at swimming, and it'd be nice if one of the 3 did become a swimmer, and I could like maybe do a long distance channel swim with them or something one day. But yeah, I'm happy. The thing is that swimming's a life skill for kids. It's just really important. So for me, for them, it's about water safety, about being able to handle the conditions if they're in an environment, and making sure that they're safe. So yeah, there's 2 elements of swimming. There's the competitive side of it, and the fundamental reason we all swim is so that we can stop ourselves, prevent ourselves from drowning, and know how to act safely around water and help others. So
Got some fun or quick fire type questions.
Go on.
Other than the fridge in the Old Bell, what's the strangest place you've swam?
The strangest place I've swam? Oh gosh.
Or gone for a cold water dip?
Oh, gone for a cold water dip. Oh, so yeah, so I went to you like this one. So I've been to St Anthony's Well in the forest.
Right.
So St Anthony's Well is a medieval well, fresh. It's got fresh spring water coming into it, and I think at a certain time of the year they reckon if you do so many dips, it's supposed to heal leprosy and skin conditions and all that sort of stuff. But I remember getting into the dip in the well there. And then I was joined by 5 women. They said, "Do you mind if we strip off?" And so, these women are 30s and 40s. And so I sat in this well, freezing cold, and they all got naked with me. So I didn't know where to look. I just concentrated on my breathing.
Yeah, just look anywhere else.
So that's probably the most bizarre sort of thing that's ever happened to me. So, and that was this year. So yeah.
Oh Christ.
Yeah.
What's tougher? The 0 degree pool in Russia or a night leg in the English Channel?
Oh, Russia without a shadow of doubt. Yeah, just because you're losing everything and you're in survival mode, pure survival mode, and even if you hit 11 degrees and jellyfish in the English Channel, you're not in survival mode. You're in ecstatic euphoria.
What's the one bit of kit, apart from your trunks and goggles, that you couldn't do without?
Earplugs in the cold, definitely, without a shadow of doubt. I don't know if you've heard of like swimmers' ear, surfers' ear. So below a certain temperature, when you get cold in your ear, it causes the inner bone to grow in your ear, so you can become deaf. So it's really important that when you're swimming in cold water that you get good fitting earplugs. I'm starting to lose my hearing, the end range of my hearing. I'm not sure if that's attributed to cold water or water, but I've always made sure that I wear earplugs. So yeah.
What message do you want the public to understand about ice swimming and maybe its benefits?
Ice is the biggest reset. I think ice is definitely the biggest reset that you can have. I tell that for a number of reasons. There's and I don't want to go too deep, but there's a few people I've met on my swimming journey. Jimmy Edmonds, I know he won't mind me talking about this. So I met Jimmy at Lake 32, and Jimmy lost his son Josh to a car crash in Vietnam. I think his son was about 17. So they've gone through this terrible trauma. And I met Jimmy in the change rooms at Lake 32 with Donald the once, and he was hypothermic. And we got him changed, got him got him sorted, and he was interested in what we were doing. And then we later found out that Jimmy loved doing the cold water ice swimming because it's the closest to death he could be whilst still being alive. So he was more connected to his son. He wanted to feel the pain of death and be close to his son whilst still feeling alive, if you get that. So yeah, it's really strong.
It's powerful. Have you got any other big challenges kind of dreamt up?
Not at the moment, no. I've got one, and I don't know if it's ever going to come off. But the thing is, when I say I do something, I always do.
You want to do it?
Indefinitely get around to doing it. So I've always dreamt of becoming the first person to swim the English Channel, doing the old Queen's English backstroke. I don't know if people know it as that term, double arm backstroke. So that's 2 arms with a breaststroke leg kick.
Right.
And I think the thing that's put me off at the moment is I'm waiting for a hip resurfacing. So I'm on the waiting list, about 6 months into the waiting list. Apparently when I was younger, my hips were displaced.
Right.
And I've got osteoarthritis, and this one's bone on bone at the moment.
Right, geez.
So I'm still getting away with playing a bit of badminton and doing swimming,
Yeah.
but I'm suffering quite a bit of pain at the moment. So, and obviously mobility within that sort of joint. Although I've got it stretched out here.
Yeah.
So it's not about legacy for me. The swimming is really like healing old wounds.
Mm.
Especially coming from the background where my parents not supporting me, always feeling like I had to push myself to get recognised, and I think that's where it comes from. I think.
Do you think you've ticked that box for yourself?
Yeah. I no longer think back and think about like I'm trying to appease anybody anymore.
Okay.
For me, it's
That's
more
powerful.
about it's more about me now. It's about what I want to do, and it's about keeping keeping that balance with my mental health now.
Yeah.
So that's all I fight for. But that's what I live for. I live for these sort of events now where I can conjure up something different someone hasn't done, and maybe turn it into a team event. It doesn't necessarily have to be about me doing.
A lot of your things have been team, haven't they?
So I like involving other people.
One thing I like to end with is, can you complete this sentence for me? Anything is possible if.
Anything is possible if you put the ice to it.
If you put the ice to it.
I know the saying is anything is possible if you put your mind to it. I was messing with the ice. Yeah. But if you do put ice to it, it does help because that really channels things as well. But you've got to be in the mind game. You've got to put your mind to it, and I'm a firm believer of where the mind goes, the body will follow. Mm. So if you can put your mind into it, and I've always been one for. I'm trying to think of the term where you think about something and picture it. Mm-hmm. I need to picture it and visualization. Once I've pictured it, I know I could do it. When I did the English Channel 2-way, I pictured that so many times, and I've been through so many scenarios. It was always going to happen. I was just worried about Mark, whether he'd make it or not. So you can't picture it for someone else.
Oh mate, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah,
mate. Cheers. This has been so much fun. Thank you for inviting me in and
You're welcome.
Going through everything. It's a hell of a story, and it's not done yet.
Not done yet. There's part 2.
Part 2. We could do a part 2.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll do some more stuff. We're going to do
some
part
more stuff.
2.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Maybe after my hip hop mates. So yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Rich.
And we are back. I hope you enjoyed that one. I really did. We went on for quite some time, but that's because John and I, we're gossips, both of us, and I think there was another hour that we ended up editing just of chat that wouldn't have made much sense out of context to many of you, but thoroughly enjoyed my time with John. Thank you very much, mate. And we're back next Monday. Scheduling has been sorted, but I've been moving it around a little bit in the recent past, so I'm not going to say quite who just yet, but you know that it's going to be somebody amazing with an incredible story, and it's going to be well worth listening to, or watching. I should also say, we've just hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you so much for that. Those of you that listen or watch on YouTube, it's awesome. We're at 3 million views and listens kind of combined, and I just want to keep going. I want to keep bringing this to as many people as possible. Let's inspire people, let's motivate people, and if not that, then let's just entertain them. And just like that, we're done. Stay strong and speak to you next week. Bye.